What is up, guys? Back again. And once again, if you're watching this on YouTube as a replay from my TikTok live, please consider liking and subscribing and all that stuff. I don't know how long I'm going to make it today. I've been had a pretty vicious cold going on since yesterday, so my snot and boogers will dictate the length of this stream today. So, yeah, there's that. I'm on some cold medicine and stuff, so right now it's holding off the rivers of phlegm and snotties. But anyway, I'm back being all dedicated and shit. Again, looking for the debates with the Christians. There'll undoubtedly be some. There always is. Trod, my man, what's happening? Dang it. I'll be a struggle today. I got a good couple hours here, 2.5 hours. Got my chocolate milk. It's delicious. So, we'll see how long my phlegms hold off, how long my chocolate milk lasts, and we'll see if we can cook some Christians in here debate-wise regardless, which we undoubtedly will, I'm sure. Whew! All right. Goodness gracious. I'm sorry, getting messages. Oh, what up, everybody? Come on in. We're about to fire the debates up. Fire the debates up. Just turned it on a second ago. Goodness gracious. Sorry again if you're just coming in. I've had a bit of a rough cold. So I'm here anyway being dedicated and stuff, but do have a cold though. Just turned it on. Just turned it on. Come on in. Come on in. I'm sure the folks will start rolling through like they usually do. Maybe I won't get too snotty and have to leave or something. But we'll just see how it goes. Took a bunch of Dayquil, so maybe it'll hold off for a while, long enough for long enough to get some good debates up in here anyway. And as usual, if you've never been here, I'll debate pretty much anybody that's capable of having an actual conversation. Say whatever you want. Stick to the subject. Actually have a conversation, not just ain't nobody trying to hear a bunch of motherfuckers yelling at each other. Sorry again, I repeat, I have a pretty rough cold. We have a comment that says, "You'll meet God." I doubt it, gods are imaginary. How do you defeat the transcendental argument, dude? I don't think transcendentals are even a thing, so that's how I defeat it. Yeah, I just read the Bible. Don't really make a difference what morals and cosmologicals arguments you got. It don't make a difference because either way, you can just read the book, and this book is false either way. So that's what I do. That's what I do, especially when I don't have colds and boogers going crazy on me. What about the modal ontological? I gotta admit, I'm not even sure what that is. Well, maybe we got a guest up in here. Well, no, we don't. That's another false alarm. Guess I'll have to keep an eye out. Thank you for the likes. Thank you so much. That's what pumps us out to folks and gets the Christians up in here to debate. Whew, man. Having all the cold medicine, I'm not used to hardly ever get sicknesses, so anytime I get a little something, it's that much worse usually. Alright, so, oh, thank you very much. I love tattoos as well. So much that I do them for a living, actually. Alright, so we got, what the heck does that say? Mia Guido. So we might have our first guest here. Hopefully it's a Christian here. Thank you for the heart, Venus. Thank you so much.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up? What does that say?
Miyagi
Miyagi-Do?
Do off Cobra
Oh,
Kai.
Miyagi-Do. I got you. Yeah, I love that show too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, man.
Miyagi
So,
Do.
are you over 18?
I am.
Are you one of the Christians?
I am.
Awesome, awesome. So, which of these three topics I got up here is your favorite one?
I guess all of it. In full disclosure, I used to be a very devout atheist, so I want you to know where I'm coming from too.
Oh, okay.
For a long time actually. So I'm over. I'm almost at the half century point. So I was quite an old man here. You
I'm
look
creeping
pretty
up on
young.
it. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm not far behind you though. Actually,
Late. What?
I
You
know
got
I
mid
look like I'm
thirties.
25, but I'm not.
Yeah, mid 30. I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty bad at age guessing sometimes. But anyway,
Keep
so
keep going.
yeah, I guess and we can cover any one of them, because like you said, you don't want to go back and forth and stupid arguments and things like that. Why would you argue God is evil? Can we start with that one, or do you want me to start with why I think God is good?
No, that's fine. I mean, I think God's evil because he seems to be doing a bunch of evil stuff in the Bible, like unaliving babies and unaliving other people for innocent people for what other people did. Like to me, that's evil.
Where he's doing it, or it's happening under his watch,
He's
so
doing
to
it.
speak.
No, it's him.
Can you point out what reference that is? Because I know that there's been obviously death and destruction and things, and even to some of his more prominent figures such as Noah and or not Noah, excuse me, Moses and David, as far as murder. But can you point where exactly where God is the one killing the babies?
Yeah, my favorite examples are when he unalives David and Bathsheba's infant son, the slaughter of the Amalekites, and the unaliving of 70,000 Israelites because David took a census that God told him to take. Those are the my three favorite examples. Uh, Miyagi Do teacup.
I lost you for or do you see those as outright murder or just?
No, they're unjust by definition, which I call evil. Did
So
you heard the three I gave, right?
the first one. So
Oh, okay.
obviously the child that was born to David and Bathsheba.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you understand when the prophet went to David and how he called him out and why that might have happened?
Yeah, I know what happened. It's because God was mad at him for having Uriah the Hittite unalived.
Well, no, I know, I get that, but I'm saying because that wasn't the only child that David lost. He actually lost
Well, I'm
four.
just talking about the one right now. This is the
Correct.
one
So, but I'm
God unalived after making it sick for a week.
correct. So, with that said, is when sin enters the world, right? When Adam and Eve was perfect, right? And I know he said not preaching, but I got to be able to argue where it comes from. What historians believe was the message. Is that all right? I don't want you to. I don't know what you mean by preaching.
Well, I would prefer to just address like how could this possibly be justice to unalive a baby for something somebody else did?
So when David had the affair with Bathsheba, okay, he was approached by his prophet, and Nathan was his prophet. And the example, obviously nobody knows that David had sex with Bathsheba, and had this child. So Nathan coming to him and said, like, hey, I got a story, basically. It's a parable, but follow me here. It says, like, hey, if essentially if somebody owed somebody whatever amount of money it was, I don't know off the top of my head, and that person was given, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Relief from that. Let's just for argument's sake, brother, say I owed you $10, and you
Okay.
said, like, hey, dude, don't worry about it. I forgive you. Okay, I'm gonna use that word forgive. I forgive you of your debt. And then that person was forgiven debt. He owed some, when somebody owed him something, he was like, well, that's nonsense. So if somebody owes me $4, they better get it. If they don't give me that $4, I'm gonna hold them accountable. And Nathan said, you
We're
are the
still talking
guy.
about the baby, right?
Correct. Well, I'm getting there though. But the
Okay, okay. I
prophet
was
was
just making
saying,
sure.
like, when you are forgiven of a debt, but you won't forgive somebody of the debt, how would you get your recompense? And he said, oh, it's back in in David's time, 4 times the amount of what you owed was normal if you were cheating somebody out of something. And Nathan said, you're the guy. So David knew then that this was from God, and that his punishment, okay, the justice that was going to happen was 4 times what he did. So he killed 1 person, and then he lost 4 sons. So that's where that comes from. Now you're saying, I mean, innocence and things like that. Did God kill the baby,
Yeah,
or
what did
out
the
of
baby
his
do?
sin? Well, let's define innocent. Just because the baby was killed
A
in
baby?
human, just because the baby was killed in human form does not mean that the baby's not in heaven. Okay,
So
but when
how
you
is it just to
sin,
unalive a baby for what somebody else did?
well, because when you do something back in the old covenant, when you did something wrong, it was going to go down a few generations from you. That
Okay,
punishment.
well, how was that justice though?
Well, I don't get into arguments about what justice is about with God, because there's a lot of things. There's death, disease. There's all throughout the Old Testament. There's those justice, and that was the old covenant, and it was about behavior. And I get it. These are a lot of the arguments I would have with when I was an atheist, because
Okay.
let's use this example. I used to believe in abortion. Okay. Now I don't want to get to whether you believe or not. It's irrelevant. I used to believe in abortion, not because of getting out of people's mistakes or just as a
Well,
form
sure.
of,
Hold on before we go too far off this, though.
yeah.
So, would you agree that the basic definition of justice is getting what you deserve?
Yes.
Okay. So, would it ever be justified that if you committed a crime to give someone else your punishment?
Would I, or is that what God thinks? When you disobey
Would
God,
you? Is that what you think?
I think that under the laws that are, and God is being the creator of the universe, if he lays out the laws and you sin against him, especially when he's supposed to have a relationship with God, as David did.
That's not what I'm asking you, though. I'm asking if you committed a crime, would it ever be considered justice to give somebody else your punishment?
In today, well, are you
Ever,
talking about
anytime,
God's crime
definitionally?
or worldly crime?
I'm talking about you. I'm asking you a simple question.
I wouldn't hold anybody accountable for what I did. I wouldn't want
Okay,
anybody
so
held
why don't you
accountable.
hold God accountable for when he unalives babies for other people's crimes?
When you have your own house, because God is the creator of the universe, and in order to get,
So he gets a pass for evil and injustice then.
well, you got to argue again what's evil. Why is it evil? If you
It's
murdered
evil
somebody,
because it's unjust and it's murder. I consider
well,
those things evil.
so killing, you're talking about killing somebody because of your wrong. That's what we're arguing. That's not just.
Well, I'm saying there's just like if you're defending yourself from somebody, I don't think anybody would consider that
No, there's murder.
unjustified that you
There's murder and
defended
there's
yourself.
killing. There's murder and there's killing. There's
Exactly.
justified
So
killing.
murder is unaliving an innocent baby for what somebody else did. That's murder. That's unjust. That is evil by definition.
Well, did God create the sickness, or was the baby sick because of it was conceived in sin?
No, God did it. He made it sick. It says he inflicted the child and then it died after 7 days.
Right. But I'm saying because of the sin, like there has to be justice.
Who
Like
sinned?
anybody
sinned?
sins, but the baby's created.
What
I
about
get
your
that.
own sin?
I understand that, and the justice comes from back in the old Mosaic law, right? That you
Yeah, well,
understood it as whatever happened, whatever you do, whatever evil you do, it's going to happen generations after you. That was the covenant. So you follow me. So we got to look at it this way, because we're not, neither one of us. I mean, you have a household, I'm assuming, right? Like, are you married with
yeah,
children?
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah, no scenario would I ever advocate for them being punished for something I did.
correct. But inherently, if
Yep.
you do something wrong, right? If you do something wrong, but let's not talk about you. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you as the ruler of your house, so to speak. and you have a standing order. You know, you if I'll use this. It might be a better example. And when it comes to murder, no, there's justified killings and murder. I don't get that. I'm just talking about my own household. Let's just say I have 4 sons, 10 sons, you know, or six kids, half are boys, half are girls. And if the dishes aren't done, okay, everybody's in trouble, right? Is that something that you do or no?
No, I only punish my kids for things they do. There's no
Great.
collective punishments here.
So follow me here. You can't be on. God is what? He's everywhere, right? Well, at least I'm arguing he is. And here's the other thing:
He's
is
everywhere.
are you arguing that God is real and he's evil, or are you arguing that there's no God?
No, I don't think there's a God, but if there is a God and it's this God, it's an evil God.
Okay. So I don't have the all-seeing eye. So in order for me to maintain the household as such, everybody's got their different chores. And if one of those chores isn't done, then everybody will bear it. Then everybody's going to be doing it. And I'm just using dishes as an example. But what does that do? Because I can't be everywhere all the time. I'm obviously not going to kill my sons and daughters. Okay?
God will. God's everywhere, ain't he?
Well, does he kill them or does he allow them to be killed? There's another thing. Your sin.
He unalived
keeps-
them.
I
He
get it.
orders entire genocides based on crimes other people committed.
From your sin.
Nope.
And that's what it comes
For
down
other
to.
people's sin.
Well, correct. But
Literally says it. It says it's for other people, what other people did.
I know, but that's the consequence of your sin. That you should take it so
It's
seriously.
the consequence of their sin being inflicted on somebody else.
Correct. I know because that person's. You ever see those movies like
That's called
when
injustice, yeah.
well, you got to. Well, again, we have to talk about: is it injustice or is it immoral or is it what are we arguing here? Look at
Both.
all the movies like with the drug dealers. What is actually some of the best punishments? Whether the drug dealer, whether or the mafia, what do they always do? They don't do the
Would it
guy
ever
who
be
messed up.
justified to have 10 women raped because of what one guy did?
Well, let me follow here though. Like look at that stuff with what I just used, right?
So you're saying there is a scenario where it's justified to have 10 women raped
We
for what one guy did.
we're arguing what justice is. I'm not. Are we
already
arguing the
agreed on
morality
what
of it,
justice
or
is.
is it punishment
We've already
coming back
agreed
in
on what
time?
justice is.
Getting what you deserve, getting what you
Yep.
deserve, right? So do you
Yeah.
deserve to be killed, and it's
Nope.
all over? So
I don't deserve to be killed for what somebody else did.
well listen though.
Ever.
Like if we argue it this way, like what's justice? All right. Well, if you kill somebody, I'm gonna use your point of view. If we live, we're born, and we're die. That used to be mine. Justice for you is if you go out and kill somebody, right? And I just kill you, it's over. Like you actually don't feel any more pain. You just dead now. Justice would be okay. You took the life of somebody, and then you've caused a lot of pain. Now I'm going to take something from you. I'm going to hurt your family in the manner that you did. Is that not an argument for justice right there? Yeah, innocent people.
Absolutely not.
Well, what deters people from doing anything if they know somebody is going to get hurt or what it should, whether you're a good guy or a bad guy? Because there's drug dealers and there's politicians and all these things. What is the easiest form of holding people in control, or generally, is if something happens, I'm going to hurt somebody close to you. I'm not arguing whether
Yeah,
it's
that's
right.
not justice. I don't even know why you're bringing that up.
Well, we're talking about criminals. when you're breaking God's law.
I was talking about God. This is God doing this, not criminals. This is God.
Correct.
God is a criminal for doing this, but
Again, we're talking about the supreme creator, and you sinned, and there
yeah,
will
that's what
be
I started
death.
off saying. I'm saying you're giving a pass to this creator, even though we've already agreed on the definition of justice.
We did, and that's what I'm saying. The argument is if you kill somebody, and then back in that law, 4 times. That's why he took 4. He didn't just take the one son; he allowed four of them to be killed.
Sure he did, and that's what makes him unjust and evil.
But
what I'm saying.
okay? Why is it unjust? So you're saying that he should have just killed David?
Because it's violating the very definition of justice. Uh-oh. Let's take up to you. Give me just a minute. Sorry, I'm choking to death. I don't know why.
You're arguing that justice was, again, the basis argument was getting what you deserve, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that said, is getting justice, is it used as a deterrent or used as a punishment, or are they synonymous?
Well, it depends on what you're asking. Like legally, yeah, there's penalties for breaking the law, and that's considered justice because you broke the law and you have to pay the penalty.
Correct. So when you break the law, the way we humans do law, you commit a crime, you go to jail. That's what you believe justice is.
Yeah, if you committed the crime, yeah.
Okay. Would it not be another deterrent, or is that the deterrent, or would it be? Could it be argued that that God uses this justice as, you know, the law, like you understand the law, and if you break my law, it is not going to just affect you; it is going to affect those around you, and then in a few the generations after you, because that's the
Yeah, I guess that's what
severity.
God did, but it's still not justice.
All right, so I don't want to. I want to be able to move. So we don't disagree in the definition of justice. We're disagreeing how it's meted out, I guess. Because I don't. Although I'm saying I would not kill anybody, I wouldn't. I'm not. I also didn't create the earth, but in my own household, which I guess in essence I did create, so to speak, if you can follow that logic. Like, yeah, like when the boys and girls are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, there is absolutely across the board two reasons. One, I don't got time to argue with kids. Second reason, I want the person respond, because peer pressure is a son of a gun, dude. You know what I mean? And if other people can encourage you to change your behavior because they know they're all going to get punished because of your action, it doesn't matter. As I said, if this isn't done, then everybody's done. I want you guys to police each other, so to speak. And I guess essentially we're arguing
So you
now,
need them
not
to
about,
do your job.
look, man, what do you mean? My job? No, making sure you do your job. Like
You're the
it's
head
an
of the
accountable.
household. You're the ruler.
But I can't be everywhere all the time. So if I get into arguments about who didn't do the dishes or who
Sure, they
what,
don't
or
give you the right to punish everybody because one person messed up.
well, who's wait, well, now there we go. Thank you. Who is anybody telling me what's right in my house? If you want,
Justice, the definition of it.
again,
No, you can do whatever you want in your house. I'm just like
justice is
fucking glad
like
I'm not one of your kids.
we're hey, but I get that, and and then thank you for letting me explain and things like that. But Ed, we agree that justice is getting what you deserve. Now we're arguing about,
Yep.
well, do you deserve to have other people hurt in your stead? I would argue that was supposed to be used as a deterrent, and if it's not, because
That didn't work, did it?
well, no, it's the Bible, and
Pretty bad deterrent
even
then.
outside of the Bible, there's examples of people who didn't do what they're supposed to, and it hurt their families. And again, it is supposed to deter you from
Yeah,
sin.
it
That's why
happens, but it's not justice, is what I'm saying. And we're talking about the ruler of the universe who's supposedly all love and mercy. Like, where the heck did that go?
so philosophically, let's say that you're just walking across, and let's just say you're minding your own business. What's your name? I don't, or do you not like giving your name out?
My name's Jesse.
All right, Jesse. My name's Steve. So let's say this. Let's just say you're walking along. Me and you walk along. We don't know each other. We just happen to, we're walking along, and somebody comes up to you and says, "This man over here," pointing to me, okay, is a son of a bitch. He's evil. You're like, "Oh, I even know this guy." And this guy's like, "You guys, you just gotta trust me." But hey, here's a picture of your wife and your kids. I've kidnapped them. And you're like, "Yo, what the?" He's like, "Now, if you don't do, I need you to go kill this guy, or I'm going to hurt your family." What is the correct answer?
What do you mean? What is the correct answer?
Do you go kill me, a person you don't know? Do you kill a person you don't know, that somebody just came up to you and has your wife and kids, right? Your wife and kids are tied up, right? And
Uh-huh.
you have no idea. It all happens so fast. You have no idea how they're tied up, but
Yeah,
he
no
has
matter
proof that
what
he
the
has your
answer
wife and
is,
kids.
it's not justice either way. It's coercion.
But what do you do?
It's not even a
What's
free will
what's
choice. I don't
what's
know.
just in your mind?
There is no just there. Someone has put you in an unjust situation.
I know, but I'm asking, what do you do?
I don't know.
I mean, I already know I'm a goner, dude. I believe that in my heart, dude. I mean, I already know I'm a goner. Now, and if
I
you
guess
come
I
to
would
find
just be
out,
too, but
right? So if you come to find out, let's play it even further down. I come to find out that I wasn't like some bad person. I was actually a politician who refused to take a bribe because I was trying to be just, and I was saying I'm not going to accept bribe, and that's what you find out. You're like, hey, did it legally, right? You come across and they're like, hey, you find out this guy, and they find out it's a drug dealer or whatever. And they're like, you were obviously extorted to do this, but then you find out
all
that
right. Well, I feel like we're in
I
too deep of off hypotheticals here. Let's just do a yes or no. Was it justified for God to unalive David and Bathsheba's infant son for what David did?
well, I believe so. You were warned that if
You
you
think it was
whatever you
justified then?
whatever you do, it is going to not only affect you, it's going to affect those who love you generations down.
And that's justice to you.
Maybe not to me, but it's obviously just for God because you're
So is it
breaking
just to
His.
you or not?
Yeah, I guess if you want me to say that it's okay for God to kill,
Well, thanks for
I'm.
demonstrating that Christians have fucked up senses of justice.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think so. I mean, oh shit.
I get it. It's hard, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a deterrent. And if you don't listen to the warning, there's got to be something meted out.
Still doesn't make it justice though.
All right. What want to move on to the next one?
So, sure.
Okay. I mean, and I appreciate it, and I don't. And I mean, actually, I
No, I
I,
appreciate
I
it too,
think both
man.
of us have our. Huh? What's that?
I said I appreciate it too.
Yeah. No,
I
I
mean,
get it,
I don't,
and
I
it
don't
is.
agree with you. I think that's messed up, but we can talk about it. I mean,
No, that's fair. Why do you say that Jesus didn't fulfill any prophecy?
well, like when Matthew says he fulfilled a bunch of prophecies, if you actually go back and read the prophecies, he didn't actually fulfill any of them in the context. It's just cherry pick lines that are being applied to Jesus.
So let's step back. Do you believe Jesus existed?
He probably existed, yeah.
All right. Not to get too nerdy, you know there is no historian at all that does not agree that Jesus existed.
Oh, there's
Like
several of
there's
them actually. They're called mythicists.
all right. Well, there's no peer
Not that I agree
reviewed.
with them, but
Right. So, as a matter of fact, I'd put it this way: of all the writings, do you believe Alexander the Great existed?
yeah, I've got an
Okay.
Alexander coin.
Okay. So let's compare Alexander the Great and Jesus. When was the first writings of Alexander? When were the first actual writings and documentation of Alexander the Great?
No idea.
All right. So probably in
Are
between
we
four
are we
and
talking
five
about
hundred.
prophecies or whether Jesus
No, no.
really existed or
Well, I
not?
want to before we get to the prophecy, we got to understand whether or not we agree that the man even existed. And you say
I
that
agree he existed. Let's go to the prophecies.
okay. So you think he existed, and then they just kind of started writing about this guy, and
Yeah,
making up stuff that was
yeah, pretty
so
much.
so the wit so having hundreds and thousands of witnesses to all these prophecies that they don't exist because if you read it, they talk about witnesses of
There's no
from anywhere
eyewitness
from
testimony in the
dozens to
Bible anywhere.
500 to thousands.
Yeah, there's no eyewitness testimony in the Bible at all.
There's actually a couple. There's several of the authors of the books were firsthand
Okay,
witnesses.
who do you think was a
John, so
witness?
look at the first Mark, Paul, John, and Luke.
Nope, none of those. Those are all anonymous gospels. Like Saint Ignatius applied the name John to that gospel later on as a matter of tradition, but it wasn't John who wrote it.
I'm saying those are eyewitnesses though, because Saul was Paul. I mean,
They're not.
Or
They're
Peter.
anonymous writings.
Where do you? Okay, where do you get that? Where do you? They're not
It's
anonymous.
a
They're
scholarly
attributed.
consensus, and there's no gospel that was ever signed. All the names of the gospels were later church attributions, even Luke, even though Luke specifically tells you he's not an eyewitness. And in John chapter 21, it says, we have taken this account. So that would lead me to believe there's actually multiple authors of John.
Oh, there's multiple authors of the Bible in general. It's talking about.
But none of them are considered eyewitness, though. Oh, shit, I teacupped again. Sorry, y'all, my throat's fucking me up. I got a cold. I took a bunch of medicine, so my nose ain't running bad right now, but I don't know if it's draining or what. I'm gonna blow a booger all over the microphone here.
Right. When you say scholars, what's one legitimate scholar saying that they're not eyewitnesses?
All of them. Bart Ehrman, John J. Collins. There's a whole bunch. Those are the two main. I've read more of them too than anybody there. But it don't matter. We're not even talking about prophecies. We can just go to some prophecies.
Oh, first Jesus' birth, the virgin birth. Like, is that just nonsense? Did she?
Well, if you actually go read the prophecy that it's quoting that out of, it don't have anything to do with the birth of a Messiah. That's a prophecy about a war.
Well, the Proverbs will talk about the prophecy of a virgin birth, and then there's several.
That's from Isaiah 7. There's only one passage that's even sort of like that, and they don't actually even say virgin in Hebrew. It just says young woman.
So we're just.
We can read it if you want.
Huh?
We can read it if you want.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a rundown, and if you think I'm being like contextually dishonest or you don't agree with the context, then we'll just read the actual words. And I'm just doing that because there's a whole lot of son of this and son of that, father of this, and I don't think that just confuses the actual context. But if you read Isaiah chapter 7, this is how it starts. It says, King Pakal and King Rezin. One is the king of Assyria, and the other one is the king of Israel in the north. They form up and they make an alliance against King Ahaz, the king of Judah. That's Hezekiah's father. And they're trying to conquer it so they can put their own puppet vassal king up in there. It says and make son of Tabeel the king in it is what it says. So whoever the son of Tabeel is. Anyway, so Ahaz is terrified that he's about to be conquered. So he cries out to God or whatever. And he says, we're about to be conquered, God. What are we going to do? So God sends Isaiah to tell him, to reassure him that by the time this young woman that is with child at this very moment, by the time this child knows how to refuse evil and choose good, the two kings who are attacking King Ahaz are going to have their lands deserted and he won't have to worry about it anymore. That's it, though. That's the whole prophecy. There's nothing. It doesn't say the child's going to do anything. The child's not going to be anybody. It's not about a Messiah. The child is strictly just a timeline and a prophetic name for later on when they actually fight the Assyrians here. And that happens in chapter 8. I wasn't talking to myself there. I think he's teacup.
No, sorry. So Isaiah 14. So it depends on what version can you hear me now? I'm back.
Yeah.
I was never gone. I mean, I lost the ability to speak apparently. Isaiah 7 you read, but if you look at Isaiah 14, the version I have literally says that the virgin will conceive and it will call.
Well, no, that's because you're reading a version that translated from Greek. And this is an actual English translation of the straight up Hebrew, and it just says the word alma, which just means a young woman. But if you read it in Greek, it says virgin, the word parthenos in Greek.
So I guess that's what we're arguing now, whether it actually says it was a virgin birth or young woman.
Well, we can, but it's not important. The actual context of the story is a prophecy about a war. It don't have anything to do with the Messiah, which is what Matthew says it's about, which would just make Matthew either ignorant of what Isaiah is actually talking about, or it just makes him a liar.
Hold on 1 second.
Because this isn't about a Messiah. Not contextually.
1 second, brother.
You're good.
I have my good study Bible here.
Oh, if you got a study Bible, it'll probably tell you in there, even though it says virgin, it'll probably tell you in Hebrew the actual word used there is not virgin.
No, I am. That's what I'm going to because, I mean, I do. I want to be.
Well, like I said, that's not even the important part, though. The important part is that contextually, Mark saying this is about a Messiah and Jesus is completely divorced from the context of this story in Isaiah. Don't have anything to do with it.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I now have a work email that I got to go respond to. I thought I might have had a little more time. That's why I jumped on. Tell you what, I don't know if we can follow each other or anything like that, but love to come
Throw me a
back.
follow, man. I try to do these every day. Sometimes I can't make it every single day, but I try
Yeah,
to do them
no,
every morning.
no, I get it. I just followed you. Yeah, 'cause
Thank you.
I don't want you to be like, all right, like, no, I'm doing this in the middle of a work day where I thought it was going to be easier, so maybe I can hop back on. We can, if you're all right, I can hop back on another time and can
Oh, yeah, of
continue
course, man.
the
Yeah, of course.
conversation. All right,
Yeah,
brother,
I
have
love
a
it,
good one,
dude. You
man.
were perfectly fine. We had a great conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, we're supposed to be able to have these type of things. I want to get closer to the truth. I think that's what really is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Have a good rest of the day. I hope you feel better, dude.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
I'm actually all right now, but I'm afraid it's going to wear
Yeah.
off.
No, I get it, man. When you get the mung, man, you can't talk, can't breathe, and
Yeah, I keep getting like one of those pinch burns in my throat. It's
yeah,
making
yeah. All right,
cough
my
and
friend.
shit. But have a good one, buddy. Don't
You
work
too.
too
Bye.
hard.
Yeah, I assure you I won't.
Oh, good.
All right,
Good
bye.
deal. All right, so we do got some other people waiting. So that was a great, even though, like, I feel like he lost the justice part of that. Like, it was still a good conversation. We can't fault anybody for that. We're still having good conversations, even though it's hard. You know what I mean? But before we try to bring up the next person here, let me look back over some comments. I've been trying to unfilter them. Like, it's filtering a ton of comments, but none of them are actually even that bad. So we'll keep those. So if something don't make sense, go back a comment or two and reread it when I unfilter them. Thanks for all the likes and follows. Y'all tap the screen and pump us out there. This is how we get people in here to talk about this cool stuff. So, all right, the next up is Vincent Loves Jesus. I think we can assume Vincent is a Christian. Vincent, you there?
I'm here. How are you?
What's up, dog? Are you over 18?
I am. I'm 37.
Awesome, and I'm assuming you're a Christian based on your name there?
I am, yes.
Awesome. So you got one of these three topics up here that's your favorite, or you want to address something we already said, or what's up?
Well, I was coming up because Isaiah 7 was misquoted on your
Which
end.
part? Okay.
Well, Isaiah 7. First off, this is Ahaz.
Right.
God talks to Ahaz and
Mhm.
tells Ahaz, "Tell me what you want me to show you." Right? And then Ahaz literally is telling him, "I'm not going to tempt you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You do your thing." Right? And
Yep.
God at that point tells him, "I then will give you a sign." And
Right.
verse 14 literally says, "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son and shall call his name Emmanuel," which is God with us, right?
Yep.
That's what it means.
Yeah, I agree
And
with
then,
everything you said so far.
and then going on, it goes on, and it says, "Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good." We know Jesus didn't do any evil. He never sinned. "For before the child shall know to refuse evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings." So what
Yep.
happened with in when Jesus was born, King Herod ruled, right? And then we know that Joseph and Mary fled because the angel of the Lord came to Joseph and Mary, correct? You
Depends on which gospel you read, but yeah.
okay? And then when they're going to come back, oh, I don't remember what king it was, but there's another king that they feared, so they didn't go straight to
Oh,
straight
that was
to
Herod too, but it was a different Herod.
yep. Anyways, so we know that's That's true on that as well. The Lord shall bring upon thee and upon thy people and upon thy father's house days that have not come from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria. And it shall come to
So
pass
why would
in
this
that
not be
day.
about the kings of Assyria attacking King Ahaz?
Okay, was there a virgin born in the time of Ahaz?
No, my version in actual Hebrew says, "Look, the young woman is with child and shall bear a son, and shall name him Emmanuel."
Okay, it's considered a prophecy.
Yeah, I consider it a prophecy, just not a messianic prophecy. This don't have anything to do with the Messiah. The child there that we're talking about is just a timeline for how long it'll take King Ahaz to be safe from the king of Assyria.
So with this, I understand that you're saying that yours says is with child.
Yeah, the
Right.
actual Hebrew, that's what it says.
Okay, I can't see what you're looking at.
I got the
And
NRSVUE version.
okay, so do you read Hebrew?
No.
Okay, so saying that it's in Hebrew,
No, I'm saying this is a
I
translation straight from Hebrew to English.
and do you
No
think what I'm
tradition at all.
reading isn't a translation from Hebrew to English?
No, you're reading a translation from Hebrew to Greek to English.
So you think that they took a Greek version and translated that?
Yeah, they're reading the Septuagint. They didn't read actual Hebrew, whoever wrote the New Testament.
Okay, this isn't the New Testament that I'm reading.
Yeah, no, but you're still reading their version of it.
Okay, so was the
The
Old
Greek
Testament
translation, yeah.
was the Old Testament written originally in Greek, or was it written originally
It's
in Hebrew?
Hebrew.
Okay,
Hebrew.
so when it was translated, do they just when they make a translation of the Bible, do they just, let's say I have the KJV, and let's say the NASB comes around, and that's later. Do they just take the KJV and copy it in their own words, or do they have to go to the original manuscripts that they have?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's the issue that you're running into, because that's the way
That's not what I'm running into.
okay. That's what that's the
I'm reading a modern version that is a straight up translation of the oldest Hebrew text into English. And
Okay.
it never says virgin right there in Isaiah.
What I'm saying to you is the way that they get the translation of the Bible is they go to the manuscripts that they have, and
Yeah, I
that's
agree
how
with
they
that.
translate. Okay,
But I'm saying
so
either way, you're reading a Greek translation of the Hebrew, and that's the only ones that say virgin. It never says that in Hebrew.
you're contradicting what, and that I'm trying to help you catch this. Okay, what I'm
Okay.
saying is NASB, KJV, the Geneva Bible, all
Those
these
are all from
Bibles.
like 400 years ago.
Okay, can I finish my thought? So, on this thought, what I want you to do is I want you to hear, and I don't want you to listen to respond. I want you to listen to hear what I'm saying, and then contemplate, and then
I already
respond.
know what you're going to say. You're making the same
Okay.
argument I've heard 1,000 times.
Okay, if you're not willing on, I've never heard you hear this argument. I've never seen your perspective. So if we can't have this conversation at that point, I'm just throwing pearls to swine. I'm trying to help you here.
Well, the last guy I talked to, that's what I was telling him. I said it don't even matter if it says virgin or not. The main point and main problem is that Matthew is taking this completely out of context to say this is a prophecy about the virgin birth of a Messiah. That's the issue. This don't have anything to do with the Messiah.
You're mistranslating it, and you're saying that because yours says this way, at that point, it just fits your narrative.
What's the story in Isaiah 7 about?
Let's read it.
It's about King Ahaz. You've already said it. You nailed it. I already agreed with you when you read the whole first part. I said, yeah, that's all right. This is a prophecy to King Ahaz. This is God talking to Ahaz. And he's telling Ahaz that by the time this child knows how to refuse evil and choose good, the two kings who are attacking you are going to have their lands deserted. That's it. Don't have anything to do with the Messiah.
So when was there a virgin then?
I don't think there was ever a virgin, but it doesn't even matter. If the virgin was a virgin and was alive, it was Isaiah's contemporary. It was a lady standing there.
So So if there was never a virgin that conceived, at that point, that means it was a false prophecy. That's your claim.
No, it's not my claim.
Okay. So was there a virgin that gave birth at that time? A virgin that conceived, which is an
It
impossibility.
said
Never
she
happened before.
will give birth to a child and will name him
Okay.
Emmanuel.
Okay. So was there anyone that was named
This
Emmanuel?
prophecy comes true in the next chapter.
Show me.
It's in
I
chapter
can
8.
if you want.
Yeah, they rise
Show
up
me.
against Assyria. They win the war.
Okay. Show me the virgin that conceived in
What
chapter
do you
8.
mean, show you the virgin?
Show me the virgin in chapter 8 where the prophecy is fulfilled in chapter 8, please.
Okay. Oh, that's easy enough. You've read chapter 8, right?
Hmm?
Isaiah's son, a sign of the Assyrian invasion. And it says, I'll skip on down a little bit. And it says,
What
take
verse?
notice,
What
you
verse
people.
are you on?
I'm on 9 right now.
Okay.
It says, take notice, you peoples, and be dismayed. Listen, all you far countries, gird yourself and be dismayed. Take counsel together, but they shall be brought to naught. Speak a word, but it shall not stand, for God is with us. That's the prophecy part, the name. It says, the Lord spoke thus to me while his hand was strong upon me and warned me not to walk in the way of his people, saying, do not call conspiracy. All this people calls conspiracy, and they do not fear what it fears to be in dread. But the Lord of hosts, him you shall regard as holy. Let him be your fear, and let him be your Israel. He will become rock that stumbles over you, a trap and a snare for the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and many young among them shall stumble. They shall fall and be broken. They shall be snared and taken.
So this isn't continuing of the prophecy?
Yeah.
So it is a continuation of the prophecy. So
Oh, shit. Hold on. My bad. I skipped the damn... Oh, no. I must be on a bunch of medicine here. Sorry. Let me reread. Holy crap. Man. All right. So let me start at the top here. Isaiah's son. I thought I was at the top. Holy shit. Isaiah's son, a sign of the
what
Assyrian
verse?
invasion.
What verse?
Verse 1. Verse
Okay.
1. Then the Lord said to me, take a large tablet and write on it in common characters belonging to Maher-shalal-Hashbaz and have it attested for me by reliable witnesses, the priest Uriah and Zechariah, son of Jeberechiah. And I went to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son.
Was the
The son's born.
prophetess a virgin?
No,
Okay. So that's not the
that's a
not the virgin
mistranslation.
birth.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not the virgin birth. Okay, go on.
Before this
Go on.
child knows how to call my father or my mother, the wealth of
What was his
Damascus
name
and the
to be
spoil
called?
of Samaria will be carried away by
Hold
the
up,
king
you
of
skipped
Assyria.
some. You skipped some. What was that son's name?
Maher-shalal-Hashbaz. It's another child,
Perfect. So it's not Emmanuel. Got it.
right?
Keep going.
All right. And it says, the Lord spoke to me again, because this people has refused the waters of Shiloh that flow gently and melted in before, Reason
Why do
and
you
the son
keep
of
skipping
Remaliah.
things?
Therefore the Lord bringing up against it the mighty
Why do you
flood
keep
waters of the
skipping
rivers,
things?
the king of Assyria, and all his glory. It shall rise above its channels and overflow all of its bank. It will sweep onto Judah as a flood pouring over, will reach up to the neck, and its outspread wing will fill the breadth of your land, O Emmanuel.
Bro, got a question for you. Why do you keep skipping verses?
I didn't skip a verse. If I
Okay.
did, I just didn't notice. But I
Okay.
just read
So
1 through 8.
you skipped 4.
No, I didn't.
Okay. I'm gonna read it so we're not confused, because it says, moreover, the Lord said unto me, take thee a great roll and write in it with a man's pen concerning, and I can't say his name. You did way better than I can. And I took,
Maher-shalal-Hashbaz.
thank you, and I took unto me faithful witness to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Jeberechiah, and I went up unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Lord to me, call his name Mesher, whatever it is, Shalhal Hashbaz. For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. The Lord spake also unto me again, saying, forasmuch as the people refuseth the waters of Shiloah, that go softly and rejoice in Reason, and Ramallah's son. Now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, strong and many, even the king of Assyria in all his glory, and he shall come up over all his channels and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Judah, and he shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even to the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel. So what this isn't saying that the prophecy is fulfilled in 8. This is still a continuation of that prophecy.
I know.
Okay, then why are you?
So what
saying
happens
that
to
it
reason
fulfills-
and Pakal? What happens to reason? What did you just read happens to reason and Pakal?
Oh,
That's the two kings who are attacking Ahaz, is it not?
it is.
All right, so the waters have overflowed and taken them away. That's the prophecy coming true.
That's a part of the prophecy. That's
It's
a
the part that I said is fulfilled in chapter
What are
8.
we-
King Reason and King Pakal washed away. That's exactly what I said.
Okay.
Either way, this don't have nothing to do with the Messiah.
What verse is the Messiah in?
There is no
What was
Messiah.
it?
That's what I'm telling you. I'm saying Matthew
Verse
lied.
14,
There is no Messiah.
7:14.
That's not a Messiah. That is a child to be born. It don't say anything about a Messiah.
What does Emmanuel mean?
It means God is with us. It's a name.
Okay.
My name is Jesse. It means God exists.
Okay. So when it's saying God with us, why is he named God with us?
Because they are about to fight a war. And when you fight a war, you want your God on your side. And they even cry out, Emmanuel, God is with us. They're crying out during this battle. That's what I'm trying to tell you. This don't have nothing to do with the Messiah. It's not a messianic prophecy, no matter how bad you want it to be.
Okay. So, okay. Let's just go into something
For
less.
this to be a messianic prophecy, it would have to prophesy about a coming king. And it says, this child will be this king.
Let's go into something a little bit easier to understand. Okay.
Okay.
So Isaiah was written 750 years
Not that
before.
I think that's hard to understand, but I'll get you.
Isaiah was written about 750 years before Jesus walked on the
Yes.
earth, correct? Okay. So
Yeah.
we're in agreement on that.
Hmm?
Isaiah 53.
Yep.
Who is that about?
It's about Israel. Says it over and over and over and over again.
Who hath believed our report, and who is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow
Yeah, who has the arm of the Lord been revealed? Who's the arm of the Lord being revealed to in that verse?
Israel.
Yeah.
For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He hath no form or
You're not
comeliness.
going to sit here and read the whole chapter, are you?
I mean, the whole chapter is a prophecy about Jesus.
No, it's not.
Who is despised and rejected of men?
Israel.
A man of sorrows, singular man of sorrows.
Yep. Says
Acquainted
it over
with
and over again. It explains that when it refers to Israel, it's referring to him as a single person and as
So
a son.
who hid their faces from him?
What?
It says, and we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Who is that talking about?
I don't know what you mean. I don't understand what you're asking.
Surely he hath borne our griefs. Israel bore our griefs.
Yeah, that's why I asked you who is the arm of the Lord being revealed to.
carried our
That's telling you
sorrow?
who's talking here and who's watching this.
So Israel carried our sorrows.
Yeah, that's what it says through Isaiah here over and over and over.
How is Israel carrying our sorrows?
Because they are the covenant. They are the light to the nations. It explains all this explicitly.
The covenant isn't Israel. The
It
covenant
is.
was made to Abraham. Correct?
Let's go read it. No. The servant, a light to the nations, chapter 42. Here is my servant whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the nations. He will not cry out or lift up his voice or make it heard in the street. A bruised reed he will not break, and a dimly burning wick he will not quench. He will faithfully bring forth justice. He will not grow faint or be crushed until he's established justice in the earth, and the coastlands wait for his teaching. Thus says the Lord God, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what comes from it, who gives breath to the people upon it, and the spirit who and the Spirit to those who walk in it. I am the Lord. I have called you in righteousness. I have taken you by the hand and kept you. I have given you as a covenant to the people, a light to the nations, to open the eyes that are blind. Okay, so who does it say God is taken by the hand?
That is literally talking about Jesus coming.
You're literally making me think you've never read this before.
I've read this numerous times.
Okay, in chapter 41,
What do you-
who is
okay,
God taken by the
pause.
hand?
Bro, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me a relevant question.
Okay. If you've read Isaiah 53 and you compare that to Jesus Christ, does it not match?
Yeah, some does.
Some does? Okay.
Yeah.
Was Jesus
Like
a
Jesus
prophet?
don't have offspring, so it can't be talking about Jesus.
If Jesus is the creator of everything,
He's not. He's not even a prophet.
bro, did Jesus, when Jesus was talking to Nicodemus, did he say any prophecy there?
What? Jesus said a
Jesus
lot of
was talking-
prophecies. It don't mean he was the prophet.
Well, okay, what
An
makes
accurate one, anyway.
Dude, what makes a prophet?
A prophet is when they convey the words of God through their mouths that gives specific information about future events or comforts people.
So if Jesus claimed that he was going to be crucified beforehand, at that point that would make him a prophet, correct?
Yeah, if you could prove he actually said that beforehand.
Okay. When he was talking to Nicodemus, John 3:14.
And John was written in like 120 CE.
Bro, okay. Bye, bro.
It's crazy how they spiral out. They can't just like listen to the actual argument. This is about Jesus. It always blows my mind when people say that too, because I do not understand how, at minimum, you don't understand this is about Israel if you've actually read it, because it like literally says this shit over and over and over. Just for examples, I didn't even get done reading before he hollered. It says, "But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, who I have chosen." That's in 41 there. Ain't that wild? 42, verse 19. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf like my messenger? You say Jesus is blind? I don't think so. All right, let's see. 43. Wonder what 43 says. Do y'all think it mentions a servant? Which verse is it? Okay. You are my witnesses, says the Lord, and my servant, whom I have chosen. So there are witnesses who are the servant. Witnesses is multiple people. One servant is one person. So we know when it refers to a servant, it's referring to multiple people being witnesses unless otherwise specified. Now, I wonder who chapter 44 says is the servant. Anybody care to venture a guess? Verse 1. But oh, hear now, O Jacob, my servant, Israel, whom I have chosen. Wow. Remember these things, O Jacob and Israel, for you are my servant. I formed you. You are my servant. For the sake of my servant, Jacob and Israel, who I've chosen. Chapter 45. Wow. So we have went through 4 chapters there that all call Israel the servant. Ain't that freaking wild? Ain't that freaking wild? Let's see, what is that? 48 verse 20 also calls it a servant. 49 3 is the servant, and then 49 it even says my suffering ones, the suffering servant. We know the servant's Israel, we know they're suffering, so when it says suffering ones, we know who's suffering as the servant there. Pretty wild, pretty wild. Well, he's from Bethlehem. He's from Nazareth. I'm not sure where he's from, actually. Because Matthew says, interestingly enough, in Matthew chapter 2, he says this Messiah is supposed to be called a Nazarene, which that's not even a prophecy in the Old Testament, so I have no clue where he got that, but he's saying you have to be a Bethlehemite and a Nazarene at the same time. So Matthew's got some shit on his head there. All right, so we have several people in the queue. They won't spiral away. We can actually talk to them. Like, if you don't agree with me, that's cool. I don't know why you wouldn't just listen, though. Like, I'm not listening to this. It's crazy. But anyway, I can explain everything I've said. I mean, it takes time if you want to read it all, but I'm cool with that. I still got good hour and a half here, as long as my snot and boogers don't take over and blow me out of the live stream. Anyway, I think I'm okay at the moment. I'll get some more chocolate milk here, and then we'll bring up the next person. Excuse me, sorry, y'all. Fighting a cold here. All right, Robert Lynn is up next, I believe. So let's see if Robert Lynn. They've been waiting for a while. They might not still be here. Yeah, I don't think he's still here. All right, next up is, I don't know how to say that. It's like Eomer or Eomer, maybe. I don't know. What in the world? All right, so crap. Hold on a second. Let's bring who dat? Loading in there. Who are you there?
Yeah.
That who?
Hello.
Hello. You're over 18, ain't you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And you're one of the Christians?
I don't say I'm Christian, but I do believe in Jesus.
Well, why would you say you're not a Christian then? You're not like denying Jesus, are you?
No, I don't think that you have to be a denier of Jesus to not be Christian. I think that when it
That's
comes
the definition of Christian, is somebody who follows Christ. So.
right, but there's
Christ-like.
also all of these different denominations of Christianity, like Orthodox,
True.
Methodist, and so on and so forth. So
She almost said Macedonian.
I did.
A great name that would be.
But
Well, all right. So do you
yeah.
like one of these topics here? Did you want to address one of those, or do you have a question about something I already said? Or?
Yes, to address how God is evil. May I ask why you think he is, or it is?
Yeah, my favorite three examples I like to use are when he unalived David and Bathsheba's infant son, the slaughter of the Amalekites, and the 70,000 Israelites he unalived because he told David to take a census, and he did.
What about like when Moses went to the Pharaoh to try to save the Israelites from the captivity that they were in under the Pharaoh's word and guidance? And what about when he did that?
Well, I mean, what about it?
So do you think that God endorses slavery at all?
Oh, definitely. The Bible does, for sure. I actually don't bring that up too much, though.
So that I hear people say that and stuff, but whenever I read the text, I don't.
Yes. Well, it literally uses the word in Hebrew. The word is akuzah. That means property. And it says you can own people as property that you can pass on to your children. So they're lifetime slaves. It technically says you can't make a slave out of an Israelite. It says you have to make them basically like a indentured servant. But it also says you can have them as slaves but you have to let them go every 6 years for whatever reason. Not the women, though. That's just the guys.
Where does it say that?
Leviticus. Let's see here. Let me pull it up. That's a good question. I think it's Leviticus. Does anybody know that off the top of their head? Maybe you can Google it faster than me. I think it's 45 something.
Okay, I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get and read into that a little bit more.
Yeah, let me look. I'll pull it up real quick though. Oh, 25. My bad. 25:44. I was thinking 45:25 in my head, but I had it backwards.
No worries. So 25:44, you said?
Yeah. So let's go read that real quick. I'll put it right here. Actually, looks these two. All right, 25:44. As for the male and female slaves who you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from among the aliens residing with you and from their families who are with you, who have been born in your land. They may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over them with harshness. Seems pretty clear, don't it?
Interesting.
And I mean, even Jesus says it, or he says, "Slaves, obey your masters, even the cruel ones."
Interesting. Do you think that see, the way I look at it as is that Jesus was a vessel, of God, and I think that there's a lot of things that aren't like completely written word for word. I'm not saying that is, but I know that there's different kind of literature within
Right.
the Bible that can get discombobulated by us ourselves and think that it's supposed to be word for word. But do you think that in a sense that maybe perhaps that because there were no police officers, there was like no like real sense of order back then.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Do you think that had something to do with the time, or like what?
Well, the way they were talking about it, absolutely. Like it says, it was actually like a Mesopotamian thing. Like there's another verse that talks about grape victims screaming or not screaming. Have you ever heard of that one?
Uh, I've heard, no, I haven't. I heard about how a woman being like technically about the when it comes to being married and stuff, and if they um lay them down, and if they're like technically pursued to be put onto them, right?
Well, the screaming thing is that's one I actually defend a little more than some atheists because I understand the reasoning behind it. Uh, but the reason they say a woman is guilty if she's raped in town of adultery because she didn't scream is because it's presumed that if she was actually being raped, she would have been screaming for help and somebody would have heard her. That's why it says if they're in the wilderness, you can't use that because nobody would have heard her scream anyway. So it gives a little leeway there. But it's basically the reason they're doing that is because if you're in town, it would be presumed that someone would hear you screaming for help. That's why they made it a law that you have to scream for help if you're being raped. That's how they know. And if you're in the wilderness, nobody would hear you anyway. So that's not a binding type thing. But that, what I would say, is definitely plays into like those times and not having police and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But not slavery, though. I mean, God could have just said, don't own people as property. It would have been pretty good there.
Right, I agree. So, do you think that the experiences of God, do you think that could evolve? Do you think that there's any chance of God to evolve with us?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, it's kind of a contradiction, but it does say God doesn't change. He said he's not like a mortal who just changes his mind. So, even though he does change his mind sometimes, but so I don't know.
So,
Maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. Doesn't seem to.
so like, what I mean is, so how do the way I look at it is as God being like a seed. And like, let's say he is like a seed for a tree. And over time he's growing, he hasn't really like, bared any fruit yet, Once he does, like he's growing branches, then he grows leaves, and he's growing fruit.
Uh-oh, your signal's
So,
dropped out. I can barely hear you at all now. Oh man, her signal's really, really
um,
bad.
well, I said, I look at
Oh yeah, it's crap.
it,
Uh,
is it any better?
we can barely hear you. I ain't heard you for a minute now. You're so well. It went back up a little bit. I was trying to see if you got any Wi-Fi you can jump around.
Yes. Yeah. Give me one moment. Give me one moment.
Cool, cool. You actually came back pretty good there. Probably just duck out again though. Christian, just hang around. You got one or two people in front of you. So maybe we can still get there. Sometimes people drop out. You never know. Let's give her a second to jump back in here, though.
Hello?
Hey, you there? Much better, yeah.
Okay, cool. I got on some Wi-Fi.
Good.
So, he says he never changes. And when I view it as is like he's a seed, a tree doesn't change, but it grows. You know what I mean?
Well, sure, but how does a tree begin all knowing?
Well, I know
if
it's
you know everything, what's to learn and grow in?
I mean, I guess this always comes back to me, and I'm wondering, like, how does a tree even know to grow and become and to bear those fruits, right? It already just does, right?
It's
It's
genetics, yeah.
right, genetics. So I feel like personally, I see a lot of examples of God through just nature in itself, just because it's part of the DNA, it's part of the whole entirety of evolution, right? So when he says he doesn't change, I see him more as a seed, and he doesn't change, but he grows. And I think there's even examples throughout, like from the Old Testament into the New Testament, examples of that growth within him and himself. Like as much as like he is all knowing, he's also, as we get to live our lives with our free will, he's also changing in ways of how he grows, how he adapts, right? And not saying that his law changes, but I think that when like Jesus came around, everything sort of flipped around, and technicality.
Well, it sounds like you're making him imperfect and not all knowing.
Well, he just because his own creations have that free will doesn't take away from him all knowing. He knows what he's gonna do, right? Or it's gonna do, right? No matter what kind of situation.
Well, if you have free will, how could he possibly know what you're gonna do if you haven't made the choice yet?
Well, that's where, this is where a lot of different things start to branch off, like in philosophy, where they're like, well, perhaps there could be a chance of other kinds of, if we're in his mind, that he could have different, technically, in a better sense for us to understand, different screens, or could be potential parallels next to each other, showing the different kinds of outcomes, and knows the ability of how to be present in all of that.
So why did you originally bring up the slavery thing?
Just because I was just thinking about I gotta dig a little deeper on all that. I don't have like an argument against it. I was just
we was originally talking about the evil thing here. Like, so would you agree that it's evil to unalive innocent babies?
I mean, yeah.
God does that a bunch of times.
And I know that it sounds like every stereotype that what I'm about to say is that, he knows where they're going, people do pass away, and
Were the
interestingly
babies
enough,
baptized and did they repent and stuff?
I mean, I don't even this is where why I don't define as being a Christian. I'm like, I pray that everybody who doesn't believe in Jesus,
Well,
if they
here's the
have a
thing.
goodness in their heart.
God has no problem condemning children for the crimes of the parents. He'll do it generationally. He literally says this. He says, I will punish generations of people.
Right,
So,
like with
so
the Pharaoh
this
situation.
child is one of those people being excluded from the house of the Lord here. And it didn't do anything.
Well, in turn, sadly, when it came to like with the Pharaoh of how he killed people's firstborn,
No, that was God too.
Right. That was God too, you know, and
And it
when
wasn't
he
it wasn't just Egyptians either. It was anybody who didn't put the blood up there, including his own people.
that were there in that moment.
Yeah.
Not everybody in the world, just right there in
Yeah,
that moment.
yeah, in Egypt there, yeah. Still, I'm just
Um,
saying though, it's like this is God doing it to his. Why wouldn't an all-knowing God just know which kids to go get anyway? Why do you need to mark it with blood?
um, so they looked the people of in Egypt. They looked at the lamb. They praised the lamb. They worshipped the lamb. And since instead of praising and worshiping, you know, the creator of all things, they worship the lamb. So with having the faith, which it all comes down having faith and having that belief and putting trust into God, um, that shows your part, if that makes sense. It shows your strength. And I know like that sounds crazy because at the same time it all sounds crazy. Everybody's making sacrifices back in the end of the day. And you know what's even crazier is we make sacrifices at the end of the day to this day. And it might not be with the lamb's blood, you know, but it's with our own individual choices on what it is that we want for ourselves and what that will take to get it, right? So there's different kinds of sacrifices that are happening for that will always be happening no matter what time you're in. And then it was
So you know
very
God
amazing.
violated the Pharaoh's free will, didn't you? Like God was making all this happen the way God wanted it to happen.
The violation of his free will, well, technically the Pharaoh was saying he was God, that he is God, you know? And
Well, it says in chapter 4, though, it says God tells Moses to go tell him this stuff. And God literally says, I am going to harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. So God made sure that he did not let the people go. Why would he do something like that? It actually tells you why, but it's a rhetorical question.
if I were to try to understand without knowing the next thing of why, I think I
Well, it
think
just
it
sounds
was
messed up, though, don't it? Don't you agree?
it does. I mean, there's a lot of things that are really messed up, and that might seem as one of them. And with him doing that, I mean, what was in his heart in the first place? Like, what kind of heart did he have? You know, and
Oh, the
if
Pharaoh?
yeah, he loved his son. He loved his son with everything in him. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
mean, I
But
can only infer from the passage, though, that if God wouldn't have hardened his heart, he'd probably just let him go to start with, and we wouldn't have had to do all the death and plagues and all that rigmarole.
mm, do you think that when God said that he hardened his heart, that he really meant it, like as
Why wouldn't he
literal?
mean it? It wasn't like a joke, was it?
No, no, no. But like, not as literal as is a sense. Like he hardened his heart, like turned it to
I can
stone.
only assume that's what he meant because that's what he ordered. He told Moses to go tell him this stuff, but he says, I'm going to harden his heart so that he will not let the people go.
And eventually he did. And so if you think about it, once he hardened his heart and once he lost his son, he everybody, all the Israelites left in that moment. They were chased after onwards
Yeah,
after
but
that.
it was later on, though. He only let them go once he had displayed his whatever he wanted to display there.
Which is crazy to make sense of trying to reach the Pharaoh and remind the Pharaoh of like, yeah, buddy, this isn't how it's gonna work, and since you decide this is what's gonna happen, and until you break out of it, there will be no change. That's technically how I see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think it actually answers the question, though.
What was the question again?
He's violating his free will here
And what was his free will?
to let the people go if he wanted to. God said he hardened his heart so that he wouldn't do this, but it also says he did all this just so he could demonstrate his powers.
Yeah. And
Just sounds kind of narcissistic to me.
I mean, the Old Testament, it's a, yeah, and into the New Testament, that's where you see a change in in God once He technically
So what
made
does God
His
do different in the New Testament that he does in the Old?
the He well He comes in at, I mean, Jesus is a vessel, and then once God is in the flesh at this point, now He truly has a beating heart at that point. And so he's experiencing life, not from up and around, but in it, right? And even if Jesus is not God himself by word, but it could have been meant that he, if you see me, you see God, because he is demonstrating and following everything of what God has intended, and trying to validate also what has been presented in the old testament, to show a new a season of change in the New Testament. And I'll probably be on the fence for a long time about if Jesus is God himself, or if he was a vessel that was favored by God, just like all these other guys.
Well,
And
at
it's
least from my perspective, I think it's almost absurd to say Jesus was God himself, because God spends a whole lot of time in the Old Testament prophesying a coming Messiah who's going to be from the line of David and rule on earth. It don't make much sense to me that, like, surprise, it was God himself this whole time. You know what I mean? But besides that, like, if you read the Gospel of Mark, like, it don't have anything about like a miraculous birth or nothing like that. It says God is adopted, or I mean, Jesus is adopted as God's son at the very start of the story when he's baptized. It says he dunks in the water and he comes out, and God's voice booms up and says, "This is my son now, in whom I'm well pleased." Right.
right.
So I think that's a clear indication that Jesus became adopted as his son at this point, where Mark and Luke would say there was like a miraculous birth to start the story, but John don't say that either.
Well, that miraculous birth would have been, Mary, who was a virgin, who gave birth to a child without, a man doing the work, right?
Was you on earlier when we was actually reading that prophecy that Matthew is quoting there?
No, I wasn't.
Well, if you actually read that prophecy in its context, that's from Isaiah chapter 7. It's just a prophecy about a war. It's not even about a coming Messiah.
Well, it's not interesting though, because there was war that came after that,
There
with
was war before it, war during it, war after. Yeah.
but it became to a different kind of extent. Like, this kind of war was between the other kinds of religions that were out there. And
Well, sure, but I'm saying in Isaiah, the war it's talking about is when Assyria is invading Judah. Like in chapter 7, God is assuring King Ahaz that he's going to be saved from the kings of Assyria. Basically, it don't have anything at all to do with the coming Messiah. So when Matthew says, if you go back and read this prophecy in this line here, it's about a virgin who gives birth to a Messiah. He's either never even read Messiah or read Isaiah, I mean, or he's just lying about what's going on here, because contextually it's completely divorced from what's going on in Isaiah chapter 7.
so, do you? I don't necessarily think that God is evil, and especially if there is supposed to be a hell, mainly because if there, I mean, I guess God could have just created everybody, to be good, right? But in a sense, I
Yeah.
think that would, what's the word I'm looking for? It would, it takes away our free will to be able to do that.
Sure, but like I'd be okay with that. If to make the whole world happy and to make us live in a perfect paradise like the Garden of Eden, screw free will. Like, give me whatever will you want me to have. It'll be great. Like, I have no problem giving up free will for the betterment of this fallen world, if you will.
So, yeah, so the thing is that if even if there was just good, there would be no greater good, right? And if anything that's below greater good, what, in a sense, would it still be good or would it be good enough? Does that make
I don't
sense?
know, but either way, I don't think the Bible suggests you have free will. Like
Well,
just for
yeah,
the example we already used, like the Pharaoh, right?
I would say more of like we have, I mean, in a sense, there are things that go on that would go against our free will, right? That people do, that when things happen that are out of our own control. And the only thing that either I can't even give like a topic without off the top of my head. But if you, so there's hell for evilness, right? In a sense, if there is hell. Um, and that's there so that there can be a greater good, right? And if anything, I can't understand how we would live to the fullest as who we are, without there being evil. And I think that it's a much more complex thing going on here with there being evil and there being good, meaning that when there's heartbreak that comes, it matters how you handle that heartbreak and what you do after it. Because a lot of people, when they get hurt, they get battered, and it keeps on happening to them. They lose complete trust in everything. They become, they see the world different, right? So, what would the world be with all those things happening if there is no God?
Let me read you a few things real quick. This is from Romans chapter 9. It says, "For the word of the promise is this, about this time I will return, and Sarah shall have a son. Nor is it that all. Something similar happened to Rebekah when she had conceived children by one husband or another, Isaac. Our ancestor Isaac. Holy crap. It says, even before they had been born or had done anything good or bad, so that God's purpose of election might continue, not by works, but by his call. She was told, the elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, I have loved Jacob, but I hated Esau. What then are we to say? Is there injustice on God's part? By no means, for he says to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and compassion on whom I will have compassion. So it depends not on human will or exertion, but on God who shows mercy. For the scripture says to Pharaoh, I have raised you up for this very purpose, that I may show in my power in you, and that my name may be proclaimed in all the earth. So then he has mercy on whomever he chooses, and he hardens the heart of whomever he chooses. So how is it possible that if it doesn't depend on human will or exertion, and God's hardened who he wants to harden and not, how do you have free will? How do you know God hasn't just made you for his own purpose and me for his own purpose?
I mean, technically, we, in a sense, some is. So, when you become, if you're Christian or if you're Catholic or if you're Jewish, if you're under that umbrella, you'll realize how everything that you may want to do, everything that's around you, like you could do, but you end up not doing because it goes against the what it is right to
Sure, but how
God.
do you know God isn't the one making us all what we're doing right now? That would not be free will. That would be us just acting out what God's making us to do here.
I think that even if our hearts were hardened, even if we were born without limbs, even if we were born blind, um, there's a reason behind it, right? And it might not make sense, maybe for your
Well,
whole
it
life.
makes sense if it's God's purpose, right?
Right, right.
So God inflicted that purpose upon you in that case, meaning you can't have free will if you wasn't given a will of freedom free of consequence. That's what the definition of free will is. It's making choices free of consequence.
So,
But we can't even do that. There's always a consequence.
oh yeah, I mean, free will. free will isn't about it, that you won't receive consequence. It's about making
Yeah, but
a
that's by
choice.
definition what it's supposed to be. It's like free speech to the government. You can say whatever you want without consequence. That's why it's called free speech, even though there is some consequence. That's why I'm saying it don't exist.
I mean, I can understand what you're saying. You know, if I choose this, but I still end up facing, the consequences of this action, how is it free will? Well, the only part of the free will is, recognizing that you had the choice in that moment. If
Yeah,
you
but that's
wanted
what I'm
to
saying. You
live
don't
out the
have the choice.
purpose.
It says it depends not on human will or exertion. When it referred to the Pharaoh, it says, I have raised you up for this very purpose. So God is making you for the purpose that God wanted to make you for, not for the purpose you want to be.
But everybody has a purpose for being here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and
God's purpose, not your own.
And but the thing is, not everybody answers to the calling.
Yeah, sure. But it also, that's what it's saying right here. It says it depends on God's mercy. It says God has to call you first in some cases.
Well, I guess I'm thankful and I'm truly grateful, and everything's leading me back to go back into the book, right? All of this, because I definitely got some work to do. It's good to hear other people in the way how they view the world, and also the book, and applying it to our own, from our own view, and how to demonstrate it. It's interesting, and it does drive me in a sense, because I I got to get this straight before I come back and talk to anybody again.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hard. I know a lot of stuff. Probably you probably never even heard some of these arguments before, so those are kind of hard to deal with.
I the thing is that I believe in science. I believe in science. You know what I mean? And I
Well, if you
see
believe
that.
in science, you got to get rid of the scripture because science is totally different than what
Well,
this book is conveying.
I hear what you're saying, right? But the thing is, and I don't mean to do blasphemy on to the word, right? But I
Yeah,
notice how we over time have evolved, and who's to say on for the intentions, right? On why and how, but we have gained knowledge, and that knowledge that we have now did not exist then. And I recognize science to be a way to admire all these creations, and a way to be able to figure out a little bit on how to make the most of this life that we have, right? So,
absolutely. Preach it, girl.
I, I don't think a
Well,
lot of
let
people
me
are
tell you how
think,
I look at it.
yeah.
If science is true and we're just monkeys who evolved from other monkeys before, and eventually, you go back far enough, single cell organisms that came about from a slime pool or whatever, and we're all made out of atoms and stuff like that. To me, that's so cool though. If we're all made out of atoms, then we're literally all made out of the same thing as the universe, and that not only does that connect us to each other, but to inanimate things as well. But to me, that's what's cool about discovering the natural world, is that you learn you really are linked to everything. We're made of stardust, you know what I mean? But it's
Right.
kind of, from the religious point, you kind of learn that we're on our own here. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit depressing. But to me, it's still amazing because we're just animals who have developed enough like thinking capability that we can discover our own history and understand the universe that we're in, where other animals can't even begin to grasp something like that. So to me, that's just pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
To those who deny science and everything, I don't hate on them, because in a way they're living life in a very simple way, and good on them. I wish good on them, because it must be nice. um, but I think when it comes down to like the attributes. A lot of people that, are religious and they might believe in a flat earth, and even if they do, I got nothing against them, but once they start showing attributes of attitude, of looking down on other people, I can't understand. I can't fathom how they could be that way, right? And I think it's also because of the ways of how it's been demonstrated. Like, you are to speak on, like, you're supposed to uphold God's way, you're supposed to rebuke, you're supposed to do this and that. But I think we forget, we are not the apostles, we are not Jesus, we are not Moses, we are not all these people. And until that time comes where you're working and walking with the Lord, you'll notice the lines on that you can cross, and they cross them all the time. And I don't get
True.
it, right?
It's
um
just a sense of superiority, I guess. Sometimes that's founded, I think. Like, you can let me go Nietzsche for a second, but it's crazy to think like a doctor who worked his whole life to cured cancer or something, like, is the same or less valuable than a guy that laid in his mom's basement and played video games his whole life. He has contributed a different universe to humanity than the other guy, obviously, but in terms of two, babies being born together, yeah, they're absolutely equal. So that's, I can see how these senses come about and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes it's not founded, maybe sometimes it is, but I don't think it's founded on this though.
I don't think I pray all the time, and I pray that we are not scrutinized, we are not condemned for looking more into this world, and even out into space and making these discoveries. Because at the end of the day, I truly just see it as admiration. I mean, we show how we come to learn how we all have DNA linked to each other, from the plants, from the animals,
Sure,
from the
sure.
all the way to outer space. And interestingly enough, and it's spoken technically in the text about how, the Big Bang started as such a tiny little spot that was heating at an absurd rate, and then it exploded and it expanded, and it took thousands of years and more thousands of years and even more thousands of years before it could cool down and be able to create neutrons and protons, right? And
Right.
that's also part of evolution and creation in a way. And even if it's not wanting to be seen as creation, I mean, they're compounds coming together and they're making something, right? So
Huh?
I that's where, even in science, where I sort of see the link between there being a God and are with us, and the monkey scenario, it's not that I don't think that we came from there. It's just we share a lot of DNA with a lot of animals and a lot of plants out there, and
Well, pretty much all of them, huh?
only 2%, only 2% technically is used to be qualified information. The rest is sort of, it's just the making of the DNA. So it
No, I say we
intrigues,
came from monkeys. I was
right?
talking to somebody in the comments there.
I
That's
me
what
per
evolution says.
Right. Me personally, I don't know about the monkey scenario.
Oh, I get it now. I'm sorry. One second. Let me explain why I'm saying monkeys here. So, in
Yeah.
evolution, nothing can evolve outside of a clade. And if you go back far enough, like 8 or 9 million years, we come from a clade called the Catarrhini, which means old world monkeys. So, I like to say we came from monkeys because that goes back even further than great apes. So, that's why I say monkeys. It's scientifically based, I promise.
But what intrigues me is how there are animals that are extinct in this day, but there are new animals that are created in this day. Does that make sense?
Wait, say that one more time.
So there are animals that are extinct that are no longer around, but there
Oh,
have
yeah.
been new species that have been found over the past, I'll just say, even the last 1,000 years, 2,000
Oh, yeah.
years.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And there's no mention about that within the text, right? Um, And I just think
Yeah,
that's
that to me it
because,
would be far more impressive if the Bible was actually talking about things it couldn't have known, like maybe give us some protection about germs or vaccines, or they even knew about atoms at the time. Atoms was actually a Greek concept from like 500 freaking BC. They were talking about atoms. So I mean, this stuff was around. Like they could have mentioned something like that, I think. But I mean, just saying it was Genesis is exactly what it's the kind of story I would expect from a group of Iron Age Middle Easterners. Basically, it matches up with almost every other version of Near Eastern mythology and text and stuff like that. But I mean,
I,
like, if
yeah.
we're just monkeys that evolved from natural life forms earlier on, I mean, what's the what? I don't think we need religions. Like, I think we would need to acknowledge the truth that we're here on our own. We are on our own. Nobody's coming to help us. We need hospitals, not prayers. Like, this is what's going to help us. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that, with there being such there's energy all around us. And this is where I started before I became a follower in Jesus. There's energy around us that we are in. And there are forces that come around constantly.
Absolutely,
And
Bobo.
so when I think about that, I always relate energy to like a force that is supernatural, right? And before I ended up to this point, I literally took away all types of technology besides, my CD player, and I was focusing on only eating plants. And I was doing meditation, I was doing yoga, and I was very spiritual through this. I only did it to heal my body because food is medicine. Like, it's crazy how plants are healing, but we come to find out that in the medical field, they deprive these types of things that you use in different kinds of medicines from plants, and then
Yeah, yeah.
they
I mean,
change it.
like it's some will help you, some will hurt you. I mean, that's just the world we live in. You know what I mean? We have to figure it out the hard way sometimes too.
Yeah. And, I had this really strange experience. It makes me think about, all of the tribes before, and it makes me think about a time before where they did not have what we have today. And
That
what
would have
they,
been crazy. Thank fuck we wasn't born into that time.
yeah. So I was in the backyard and I was swinging my little stick. It wasn't little, it was actually pretty big. And I was practicing having a good flow and trying to move my body, but also with the wind, everything. Everything came in time. Interestingly enough, after doing this for so much, all of a sudden, this is the craziest thing. All of a sudden, bunnies are coming into my backyard. Birds are flying down. Squirrels are coming near me. And above me is an eagle just circling around. And I had the most, it was like, what is going on moment, And I think that there's a lot of things that we might claim to be surreal today, um, and why it might seem so crazy of all these stories back then, because they're talking about splitting the seas, they're talking about bringing life from the dead, they're talking about all these things that just like we can't even wrap our heads around in this time, mainly because there's so much distraction in this world, and they in their time had true focus, because what were they doing to help them sleep, and what were those who couldn't sleep doing in that time? Like, they it was a whole different lifestyle. So I think in a way that the experiences of God coming in and talking to certain people or showing up in the ways they do, I don't think that's too crazy, mainly because if we were to practice, a life without everything that we know today, I think we'd have some really weird experiences, and that we would see things that we cannot make sense of. And I think in a way that's what they were doing, trying to make sense of what they were experiencing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I mean, if we don't know things, we don't like to admit we don't know things most of the time, for starters. But I mean, we feel the need to explain things. And most of the time, if you don't know, you just say that was a god or it was a magical force or something like that. It's the
right,
god of the gaps, basically.
right. And in a sense, when I, before I ever knew the scripture, I'd have these anxieties in me. I'd have these darknesses I did not know how to handle. And interestingly enough, and maybe because this is just like the foundation of being a person, right? That if you do, like, if you were to um, pray instead of react, go off on somebody because you're angry, and try to seek revenge, it's not fulfilling. What is more fulfilling is honing that anxiety, that anger that you have, and putting into a place where it is either productive or brings you calmness. Personally, a lot of things, once I started to apply the scripture on how to live my life, it changed things, and also my viewpoint. um and I know it's like it's old text, and I mean, they wanted us to have it. They wanted us to have it in ways. Maybe it was a sense to make sure that people don't lose their shiz. But here we are, we sort of already have lost our shiz, and in ways that we can't go backwards, because we would not be able to do that unless there are those who have sustained themselves in that aspect. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
So I just I mean, I do believe in the power of praying, but I do think that if you do pray, you do have to believe, and believe in there being something more than yourself. And when I say that, I mean, you could be a little lost, and if you're asking for answers, truly, those answers will come. And I've experienced that personally, and that's why I'm grateful and I'm thankful, because I guess I think even if God said all that, I'm still taking it from, this is what the people have written on what they have gathered to their best understanding. Um, we're changing, we're evolving, and we notice that through the old to the new. And I think that there's still more at play that is happening and at work, and that the story's not over, if that makes sense. Like, we are living it every day, and I don't know if there will be anybody to ever come or not, but I do believe that some of those things that were said really, really did happen.
Oh, some of them did, yeah. Like, I think the Babylonian captivity was absolutely true and a good kind of historical account if you look at it that way here. But the Exodus is completely different. Like, I think there's no evidence for the Exodus happening, but a whole lot that it didn't happen. So I'm going with the evidence I'm seeing here, and concordance with the words.
So, do you think that, where you put your focus on, you can see that out in the world, if I said that correctly?
Wait, what now?
So, like, let's say if somebody is like even like a Buddhist, and they believe in Gandhi, and they believe in the ways of Buddhism and everything, that they are able to see that in the world, as to, if I believe in Christ, that I am able to see that in the world, and if you're atheist, that you are able to see that in the world. Do you think that whatever you apply is able to be seen?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest fallibilities of humans. It's bias. I mean, we kind of tend to see what we want to see. Uh,
Hmm.
but that gets us in trouble as well.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
That's
what
why we
about
need more. We can't really even trust our own minds because our minds are so flawed. What's the right word? Like, abstractly, we have abstract thinking.
hmm
So our imaginations run away with us far too much, is what I would think. So we have to have something that grounds us a little more in reality, and we use things like science to eliminate that bias. But same with like these world perspectives. Like, I wanted to know. I was a Christian until I was 27 years old, and unfortunately, it took me till almost then to learn you could even question stuff like this, or you was even supposed to. But once I figured that out, I thought, yeah, these things should definitely be questioned. And I tried to found it in reality with actual evidence. Does it line up with everything? I think, that's when I come to it's probably true that the Exodus never happened, but it's definitely true that the Babylonian captivity happened because there's evidence for one and not for the other.
So
So I evaluate my worldview that way.
So, do you ever, when you evaluate your worldview, do you also try to think about the third person perspective?
No, I just use my own understanding. I try to think of other people. As a matter of fact, I'd say I almost have a gift of putting somebody else's perspective in front of mine, but I'm ultimately still trying to decide what I think they think, so much. So ultimately still me, basically.
Yeah, and I get that. I do get that. What do you think about blind people, though? Um,
What do you mean? I think
so,
they're assholes, all of them.
what?
I'm totally kidding. Nobody listens to that.
So,
No, I'm not sure what you mean there, actually.
so let's say you were born blind, how would they know anything? How would they, if they cannot see it, how could they believe in anything?
They would still know things the same way we know them, but they would be subtract one of those ways, and that's actually seeing. You know what I mean? So
Right. So,
you would just have to deal with not having sight. I guess is
and so when we try to describe things to them, if it's from the book, if it's about science, like what do like I don't even think that unless we're talking to a blind person, I don't even think they know what kind of what so they know by touch, they know by taste, they know by hearing.
yeah.
But
And they
there's
probably
some
got better senses of those than we do. Actually, their other
right.
senses might be a little like heightened since they don't have a sight. You know what I mean?
So, in a way, when I think about it, if we tried to tell them exactly like how the Big Bang happened or the story of God, right? I just wonder what are they seeing? And also I wonder
Oh, the
if
same thing we are. Nobody saw the Big Bang. We're all like hearing that, you know what I mean? Well, besides like the observable like redshift, if you look into the that kind of thing through a telescope. But ultimately, nobody saw the Big Bang, even though.
right. Um but we are able to get visuals to be able to try to make an understanding of it since it's not touchable. We could hear about it, but a lot of people they could hear about something but not know how to imagine it, right? And so that also
Maybe.
goes, huh?
Maybe. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Um
But anyway, you've been very kind, but I think we've drifted a little far away from the is God evil
yeah, I think we
topic
did.
there.
Yeah, I think we
But
did.
anyway, you were just too nice. I don't even really like debating people like you. I ain't trying to ruin your zen there.
Well, I appreciate you and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, back at you, back at you. That was a good conversation, though. I liked it. I like explorative conversations there. But yeah, we're gonna pull somebody up here. Maybe we can get a little more entertainment out of. I think.
All right. Well, you have a good day.
You too. Thank you for coming up. Who?
Yep. Bye.
Bye. See you later. All right. All right. I've still got 40 minutes. I've still got 40 minutes. So if Christian Long is still here, he has been waiting the longest. But before we bring him up or try to bring him up if he's still here, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. My audience gets bigger and bigger every time. I get more likes, more taps. I appreciate the living hell out of everybody. I thought I would be sneezing and boogering again by now, but I've actually held up pretty good, so maybe I'm all right. But we still got a good 40 minutes, so let's bring up the next guest and see if we can get some good stuff going here. Oh, no, I don't think so. Like they tripped out there. Thanks everybody for tapping the screen with the likes and stuff. That's what pumps us out into the worlds. All right, soul and spirit. Let's see who this. It says they were a recent guest. Maybe they're still here. Oh, they're still here. Let's see if they load in.
What's up, bro?
What's up, man? You've been a recent guest, so I'm assuming you're over 18. Was you a Christian?
Yeah, I talked to you one time.
Yeah, I guess I don't remember honestly. So, did you have one of these touch up on something we finished up on last time, or like one of these topics here? What you got?
um, I guess I'll ask you. Man, I've been here for a while, so I'll just ask you personally. Like, I heard your story about you've been a Christian since you were 27. You started questioning things. What made you start questioning it? Just looking at the
Um,
data.
well, I actually heard some other people doing it, so I was like, "What? That's you can do that?" And then I was like, "Maybe I should try that myself."
Why do you think you didn't just do it yourself?
I don't know. I guess
I
I'm an
mean, did
idiot.
you ever like read the Bible and think
Yeah, I
like,
used to read
wow, that
mostly the
was
New Testament when I was younger, though.
well. Okay. Well, so like, if you ever read the Old Testament, like by yourself, like when you believe, like, did you think to yourself like that God was evil?
Not really. I just kind of shrugged it off in my mind, like put it back to the back there and marked it under. I'm sure that's just God being God. Maybe He knows better than I do. But then
Why do you
again,
think
now I
you?
can't violate my own definitions of things like justice and good and evil.
That's what's weird to me is like I kind of see it like as where like we're society, right? And then like you have the government, and they're basically like making their laws, and we follow the government in a way, like, and then they have like power over us in a way, and they kind of exercise that power because they can, and so like I kind of split it in two, right? And I say like, God is kind of like this power, right? And He wants things to be done a certain way, but then you also have like the government, and then you can subtract that into like everybody's individual, wants and needs and thoughts. It's like, but at the precipice of it, you have like the governments, the nations of the world, and then you have God's way of whatever He's, however He wants to do things. Is that kind of how you see it?
I guess. I mean, it's still a little different to me because the government don't have like any kind of authority to make anybody do anything. Like they only have the authority to punish you if you break the laws we've all agreed on, to like try and punish you for that. But God supposedly can manipulate anything He wants to in reality, so it's a little bit different.
We'll say like let's maybe like a better example is like a birth certificate, right? Or like a census, right? Where they're like basically numbering you so that they can see who all is here, and they're keeping track of you. And basically, this is just what they do out of their own reconnaissance, just to see where they want to put their money or where their money's coming from, or if there's like illegal citizens in the country or whatever reason they're doing it for. They're exercising their will, right, to sit there and do that.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Or like you could look at another nation or something, and then like it doesn't have free speech, and you can kind of see like we're given these rights, we don't really own them.
Sure. Well, sure. I see what you're saying, but I don't understand what like the point's supposed to be.
Well, I'm saying like if you're thinking about it in God's perspective, it's kind of like He gives you the freedom to sit here and do these things. I mean, you're not going to pay for it until Judgment Day. You know what I'm saying? Like the freedom that you have to do with God is like vastly, it's vast compared to the freedom that we actually have as a human being in the world. So I mean, like the differences between that. kind of helps me see, like, you know, if the greatest power that we know is like the government or something like that, then it kind of makes me feel like that there might be a greater power also, and see, like,
Well, I mean, maybe, but I mean, we know we have governments. The other powers of complete speculation.
well, see, like one of the things that made me kind of believe the Bible a lot more over a lot of things that I, you know, lived in the world, you know, and seen and whatnot. It's like a lot of things that made me kind of believe was that the governments of the world work in secret. There's a lot of secret societies going on, a lot of things that we don't understand, you know, but they're doing wicked things, you know, to people. And so, you know, and they're controlling the power, things like that. And it's like when you start to learn exactly what they're doing, right? And you start to see like the secret societies of the world and all these things, like they seem to be pretty sure there's some kind of God or spirit, whether it's good or evil, right? They seem to be sure that it's there, you know. And so like when you really delve into the secret world of that, you know what I'm saying? It's like you kind of see that, you know, there might be some kind of God out there, kind of spirit.
You
It's
mean
like if
the
the governments
government's
of the
keeping a
world.
god a secret?
Well, yeah, I mean, like when you think about it in that way, right? It's like we have the Bible that's been canonized, right? And it's been reworded so many times, like from Constantine and like all these things. So the governments of the world have had their hand in creating the Bible of what we see, you know, what we're reading. It's like, so it's
Yeah, so
like,
why trust it?
well, because you have to see past what man has tried to do, and you have to look at what God is doing. You know,
Yeah.
like, so what helped me, like, I didn't believe the Bible all the way, you know, until I was probably like 25 or something. It's like, but before then, it's like I kind of believed it. I always believed in a God or something. I felt like it was the God of the Bible, but I didn't really know for sure until like I started to understand that like a lot of the things that we learn are kind of lies. And then when you see through the lie, then you can kind of see like where God is talking there. Like the Bible says, all men are
My
liars.
issue's the Bible, though. The Bible seems to be telling a bunch of lies. I don't consider the Bible trustworthy.
Well, see, like it almost doesn't really matter how trustworthy the Bible is. It's like if I just lay that down for a second, you know, like in my whole life, like say for
Well,
20
it
years or
matters to
something.
me, though.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like I didn't like come up into the world believing the Bible. You know, like I had to come upon it, read it, and then start to think like maybe I could believe it. This is crazy shit, you know what I'm saying? But maybe I could believe it. So I'll lay it down for a while, you know, and then I sit there and look at the world and I study, you know, like evolution or science and space and you know all these things. Like I'm sure that one day in your life you were very interested in like space and galaxies and planets and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I was too. It's like
Actually,
so.
when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronomer.
Yeah, I honestly I feel about the same way. It's like the way the galaxies and stuff. You know, I loved it, bro. I thought it was badass. Like, and then I think about it, right? And I think about like you know if there's an ever expanding space out there, and then there's planets and galaxies out there, then there must be some kind of life out there, bro. It's ever expanding. And then there's like a
There
hundred
could
different
be. I don't see
planets
how
in
you
each
get from to
galaxy.
the Christian God from there, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like it's wise in your life basically to like lay down the book sometimes, you know, and just like I mean, if you don't believe in the book, then I mean you're far off if you don't believe in a God, you know what I'm saying? But it's like if you have some sort of thought process of a God, then I mean thinking about the world that we live on and our purpose in life, if we have one, then that would be where it would align, would be like a God. I say like if we're just a product of you know, evolution or chemicals or something like that, then it's like there's not really a big purpose that we can say that we're here for. You know, we can just say like we're here, you know, like we might as well make the best of it.
Yeah, that's what I
We'll
say.
do our best. Yeah, it's like if there is no God, that's the best thing you can do, honestly. It's like, but if there is a God, it's
Yeah,
like then there it becomes that we have a purpose and a reason for being here. Like the fact that
for
we're
sure.
even
But since
born
nobody
into
can
this
actually
world.
prove a God, I think that default should be the default position. Like, we're here, let's just do the best we can, because nobody can prove a God. As far as I can tell, it's just figments of people's imagination.
Well, because like when you go off of a small circumstance like that, right? Like you would just think like the Bible would say, like he knew you before you were in the womb. He knows every hair on your head, right? And so we would sit there and think like, all right, so if he knew us before we were in the womb, then that means there must be some sort of reason why I'm here now. Like, like when you think about the process of a pregnancy, right? And it's like there's billions and billions of erms. I don't know exactly what I can say on there, but I mean they're going in there, bro, and they're trying to get to the egg, right? And there's only about 20 that make it, there, and there's only one or maybe two, if someone has twins, that they're making it into this world, right? And this is out of a
Right.
chance of like 500 billion creatures that are sitting here going through this death trap, okay? And so like the percentages of someone actually making it here are really low. It's like, and there's
Yeah.
8 billion people on the earth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why you have
It's
more
like,
sperm,
so,
because it ups the chances of one actually making it.
yeah. So it's like we're sitting here saying, like, if the Bible is saying that he knew us before we were in the womb, right? Then we're saying that before we got into the womb in God's will, we were already alive here as a human being. Like he put us here for a specific reason, that you're here specifically.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says he did all this for his own glory. Like, he just wanted us to worship him, basically. Well, depending on what you read. Apparently,
And
neither the
I'm fine
Father
with
in one
that.
book.
Like I don't have no problem with that. So I mean, like that's what I'm trying to figure out is like in people's minds, right? Like, do they separate God from the world, or do they try to mesh God into the world to fit their puzzle scheme?
Oh, I'm not sure. Probably just trying to fit it. Well, like, do we have a debatable topic we can get to on God's existence, or?
Well, yeah, we're debating it right now. Like, you don't believe in God. You think the Bible has errors in it that are not in
Well,
the
man, I
world.
feel like we're just
Like,
doing more of like a philosophical analysis of why people believe in God, like not actually debating the existence of God. Like, do you have any evidence God's real?
but yeah, so like I could make that a debate where I'm saying like, in God we have a purpose. That's why we're here on the earth right now, walking and everything.
Okay, well, we don't have a
Like,
purpose. Where'd that get us?
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we don't have a purpose, then what you're doing right now is pointless.
Well,
You
how
know
do
what
we
I'm saying?
show who's
Like,
got a purpose or
like
not?
there's
That's what a
no
debate's
there's no
about.
real good point in what you're doing except for turning people from God. That's it. And
Well, we
then and
can
then
strike
basically
people out
stealing away their
idyllically in
purpose.
history and stuff.
Well, it's kind
Well,
of
I
like
mean, this is
being
a
a thief.
debate page. Like, I'm not running up to anybody and grabbing them and gaslighting them. Like, you requested to be up here to debate this sort of thing. So if you want to debate it, yeah, I'll argue you're not right. You know what I mean? But I'm not trying to convert people actively by going and finding them and doing this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like if people don't have a purpose in the world, right? Like there's no real reason for us being here other than what you put on it yourself, right?
Hmm.
So what makes that better than believing you have a purpose in God?
I don't see how that makes God exist, though.
Well, I'm saying because what you would, I guess, like maybe what I'm trying to say is like in your belief system, right? In anybody's belief system that was good, right? This would promote a prosperity of your life, right?
Right.
Okay, so if we're
Well,
living our
well,
lives
I
every
feel like
day
you're
thinking
just
that there's
saying,
no
like,
real
if you have
purpose,
purpose, God's real. If we don't, we don't. But that's not like an actual debate, though, is what I'm trying to tell you.
well, so because the debate is basically that God is the perpetuator of life,
All
right?
right.
And
Do
so,
you have evidence for that?
well, you believed in God for 27 years. right?
Yeah, but not with evidence, not because of evidence.
Well, so what I'm saying is, with that 27 years of your life, you had a good thing going there. You know, like you felt good about a lot of things that you don't feel good about now.
Like what?
Like where you're going to go after you unalive.
No, I
Do you
feel better
have
about that
any?
now. That I don't think I'm going anywhere actually. So I've improved since then, in my opinion.
Well, see, I'd say that's a downgrade. You know, it's like
Maybe it's a
that's
down,
what
but
I'm
it's just
saying.
an opinion. But we're not getting anywhere debate wise and proving God is an actual thing or not. Like if you think God is a real actual being, you'll need evidence for that.
Well, yeah, because like you could go from the start of a lot of civilizations, right? And you could think like this civilization wouldn't be if they didn't follow a couple of guidelines, like
Yeah, and just a second, Harold.
perpetuating
We'll move on
their
there.
life. You know what I'm saying? Like they're trying to perpetuate like God says that marriage should be between a man and a woman because they can reproduce. So if any society from the start didn't follow that little regiment right there, then they're not going to be much of a society, are they? Now, where else do we get this idea from?
I have no idea where you're going with this.
What do you mean? It's very simple. How do we reproduce as a human species?
How does it prove God? We have sex as a human species. It doesn't prove God.
Yeah, but God said this is the way to perpetuate life. Now, if we don't follow that, we're not going to
So we knew
perpetuate
that
life.
whether there was a God or not. We was going to hump whether God's real or not.
So the thing is that saying the thing that's saying God is real is saying, is He correct? Does this make life go forward? You know, if like we're following what He said, or
Well,
no?
Zeus and Marduk both say we fuck to reproduce too. How do you know they're not the right religion?
Did they say that you couldn't, be in a same-sex relationship? Did they say that was
I
against
don't
the
think it
rules?
matters. It just seems like an incredibly obvious thing. Like
What? What's obvious?
that if we don't fuck, we won't reproduce.
Okay, so when we live in a society where people just really don't care about that, so I mean, how is our life going to go forward if everybody doesn't really care about reproducing and following God's word?
I'm sure people love to reproduce, but what they don't love to reproduce in is an economy where nobody can afford the damn kids.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like if people
Yeah, it's a
follow
little
the
off
ways of
topic, but
God,
yeah, yeah.
then the society would be better. It's like since people don't believe there's a God, like a perpetuator of truth and
Yeah, I
logic
don't
and
believe
all
it.
these
You do
things.
believe it. So how can we show who's right and who's wrong?
We'll see, like basically what it is like people who don't believe in God really don't have a morality system.
Oh, we don't.
Just like how they give their own self purpose, they have their own morality system. And so that really just goes as far as you can perceive.
Okay. Do you watch a lot of debates?
Yeah, I watch a lot of debates.
No. I don't feel like you're giving me like a debatable point here, honestly.
Okay, let's just go with God as Eve. Let's just go with that.
Okay.
Why do you think God's evil?
Because he does evil things like unaliving innocent babies. That's evil to me.
So, what's the difference in your mind between evil and judgment?
Evil and judgment.
Yeah, judgment, like we have a judgment
Evil
day,
is when you cause
or
somebody harm and like you're like glad about it or you did it on purpose. And judgment's where you did something wrong and you're judged for that, or right and judged for that.
okay. So rather than God being evil, He can't just fulfill judgment on what
He
He
can
thinks is
judge, but
right.
when he unalives people for what other people did, that's the definition of injustice. That's what I call evil.
Okay, so like I'm trying to think of an example. Like say like you're walking down the road, right, and you're talking to God in your ear. This is the real God of the Bible. And basically you're looking at a man who's doing, we'll say he's stealing a candy bar. We'll just say he stole a candy bar, right? And you'll just say like, wow, like, maybe he should get caught. Maybe he should, pay for that somehow, go to jail. I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
you thought, you know what I'm saying? And then God in your mind is saying, no, he's worthy of death, right?
Dang,
We'll just say God says that. We'll just say God says
God
that.
does they say that?
Right. So what I'm asking myself is what makes you more right than God? How do you feel that
agree
way?
that people? Do you think people deserve to die because they stole the candy bar?
No.
God does. You don't think that's more
Okay.
evil than me
So why am I right?
or us? I should say. We're right because the punishment isn't proportional to the crime.
But how do I know that if God says that he's worthy of death?
I don't know how you know that. I don't know how I know that.
But that's what I'm saying is like you're just going off of your own morality. See?
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So it's like that's where you're wrong.
Yeah, and
basically.
I'm basing that on the consequence. If somebody has their candy bar stolen, they're out a small snack or a couple dollars. I think you should either give them back a snack or a couple dollars, an apology, not have them unalived.
I mean, because you could go back to
That's just my opinion, you know what I'm saying? But I feel
yeah, I
pretty
know
good
that's
about
just
it.
your opinion. I know that. So it's like what I'm trying to say is like whenever.
So you're trying to say
like,
it's morally objective that God unalives them for stealing a candy bar?
I'm saying if God says that's what should happen, then that's objectively what's probably going to happen. It doesn't really matter how anybody feels
That's
about
scary as shit. That's called divine command theory. That means whatever God says or does is good no matter what. But that's just a clear cop out and illogical, I would say.
it. Well, I'm saying because we could amount it to something like blasphemy.
You can just name any horror you want and say it's good because God did it under your thinking system here.
Well, it's like blasphemy, right? Like today, we can just commit blasphemy anytime we want to. You know what I'm saying? No one's really holding us to that. Now, see, but in the Bible,
God
though,
is if he's real.
yeah, in the Bible, see, blasphemy is worthy of death. We could see that as stealing a candy bar or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't be like, it's about the same. You see, like in people's minds of today, right? We're committing blasphemy or we're stealing a candy bar from the store. It's not really like a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. I certainly don't think someone deserves to die for that.
Yeah, so it's like in God's mind, he's saying blasphemy is worthy of death. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
but he's
that's
also saying
period
stealing
point
a
blank.
candy bar is worthy of it. All sins are the same. Like, it don't matter what the crime is, the punishment's always the same. I think that's messed up. Like, I don't dig that at
Well, no,
all.
it's actually it's not really that way. It's like
Well, it is if you go to
it's like
eternal hell for any sin. Like, Christianity made hell and heaven solely about belief. The sin is completely irrelevant. You can do whatever you want and be forgiven for it. It's completely dependent on whether you believe it or not. So ultimately, heaven and hell just comes down to thought crimes.
well, it can be your thoughts too. Yeah, I mean, but that's all depending on like where you're at in
Well,
your
it's
life.
based on belief, though. Oh shit! Hey, I didn't realize what time it is, man. Let me try to get this last guy who's been chomping at the bit up here for. I only got like 15 minutes left, so I want to try to give him a little bit of time too.
All right, bro.
Time, my dog. What's up? Yeah, thanks for coming back again though. Sometime we'll dig a little deeper in there, but think of like something more like objective point wise. Like think of something you could ask me that's like a yes or no question that'll like prove or disprove God, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, you got to think about how, like, in some people's minds that believe their whole life, like, God is just greater than man. Like, it doesn't really matter how man feels about a lot of things. It's all your opinion. You know,
Well,
so it's
sure,
like we
but
got
if
to
you're
get out
saying
of
God
that.
is real, then you could be able to show me something that makes my opinion sway to the part that God is real.
We'll say, like, because the difference basically would come in where, like, say, if God made a judgment, like, we can't unalive that guy and be like, all right, fuck that judgment. We'll just move on. You know what I'm saying? But we're people. We can do that to one another, right? That can happen in real life. So it's like that's one main difference where it comes down to someone's opinion. You know what I'm saying? And God's word or will. You know, like we can't fight God. We can fight each other. You know what I'm saying? So this is one big main difference where it comes down to like opinion and
Well, we
law
can't fight the
and
tooth
God's
fairy
will.
either. So, but that don't mean the tooth fairy's real.
Yeah, that's why like we're not like when
That's
you
what
lose
I'm
a
saying. So
tooth.
we need something more to prove this God is real than saying we would or wouldn't fight over it. But let me move on here, man. I'm chomping away
All
my
right,
time
bro.
here and only got a few minutes. So yeah, I appreciate you coming
Take
up,
it
brother.
easy.
Yes, sir. Back at you. He's always really nice. I remember him from last time too. All right, so I've got a little bit of time here, so let's jump into it real quick with Harold before we close out. Harold's probably still here. He's been waiting a while. Harold, you there?
Hello.
Hello. You're over 18, ain't you?
Yes, I'm 19.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming you're a Christian, so go ahead. We're
Yes.
sort of short on
Uh,
time, so say what you want to say
yes.
or ask
All
what you
right.
want to ask there.
Yes. So you say God is evil, yes, because he
Yeah.
killed children,
Well,
innocent.
because he killed people that were innocent of the crimes they were being unalive for.
That's
Yeah.
where my point is that death is not some sort of end to your life in Christianity. You know what I mean? So if you're innocent and get killed by God, you're not. It's not your end. If you're innocent, you go to heaven.
Oh, so it don't matter if you're like baptized or believed or anything like that?
No, because God gives you your life. You know what I mean? And if He kills you without any reason, you go to heaven.
Oh, okay. Where can you back that up scripturally?
I mean, it's proven that if you don't sin, sorry, my English is kind of bad. But
So
do you
you're
see
saying
what I
if you
mean?
don't sin, you don't go to hell, right?
Not necessarily. I'm saying that
Oh,
if the
I was
people you
actually about to
say
say you actually make sense there, but never mind.
no, I'm saying like if he killed someone without he killed what point of the Bible do you mean where he killed which, because there's
Oh, that was David
different.
and Bathsheba's infant son that I was talking about.
Oh, for example, so yes, there's multiple points in the Bible where he actually kills innocent people. For example,
Yeah, I call
when
that injustice and I call that evil.
and why do you think it's evil to kill someone?
Well,
Like
to
to
kill them
for
unjustly.
yeah, but that's my point again. Like he kills you, but your life is not done when you get killed.
Yeah, but he was killing people for crimes and stuff. Like, I don't think they were getting to go to heaven.
But if he kills someone for a sin, you it's your punishment to get separated from him eternally. Do you know what I mean?
Well, sure, but the point is he's unaliving people for what other people did. That's the definition of that's called injustice by definition.
Yes, that's
So
what I
it's not
mean.
just,
If it's
but I would call
not
it evil
there,
because he's inflicting that on people. And not even just that. Like, he has 10 of David's wives raped because of what David did. What scenario is that ever justified?
I'll have to get back to you on that next time. But I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
Can I move on to another thing I wanted to ask? Because
Well,
I know
sure,
we're a
but you
bit short.
that don't sound evil to you?
Well, it's because we see death as two different things. I don't see death as the end of life, So I don't think
Yeah,
it's
but
evil
what about
that
the grape?
that's why I said I'm gonna have to get back to you next time. I'll come back next time and I'll
It
answer
don't
that.
just strike you as evil in your head?
I'll have to look a bit more into the context before.
Well, it's the same story. He has 10 of David's wives raped because of what he did with Bathsheba.
Yeah, let me read that first, okay? Is that fine?
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry. But
All right, go ahead then.
yes, you think that you want evidence for everything, right?
Well, if you're claiming it's real, yeah.
For example, do you believe Jesus existed?
He probably existed, yeah.
Why do you believe that? What is your evidence?
Because, well, I don't really have any evidence that he actually existed, but the reason I think he existed is because I don't know. It's not a mundane to me. Is a mundane claim to say that there was a preacher in ancient Israel running around as an actual God. Like to me, that's not even an extraordinary claim. So I mean, just based on historical criteria, I don't see a reason to say he doesn't exist. But if you want me to show you evidence of that, there's not any.
Yes. The reason I believe Jesus exists is I actually decide to look at facts, and you can look at the many eyewitnesses that actually saw Jesus live, and
Like who?
his disciples who wrote the New Testament, and the
Oh, they wrote
500
it.
Jews who saw him resurrect, and
Well, the disciples didn't write the Gospels, none of them. And the 500
no,
people you're
no,
referring to, it just says 500 people. It doesn't actually name a single person who left an eyewitness account.
well, you can clearly see that Christianity started somewhere, and it would have never spread if those Jews
Sure.
didn't. I believe that it spread because of the Jews who saw, as it states, the Jews saw Jesus resurrect and they turned to Christianity, you know. There's many eyewitnesses
Well,
who
sure, but
actually
there's
saw it.
yeah, but there's not a single eyewitness account anywhere in the Bible, though.
It states that there was 500 who witnessed Jesus.
Okay, well, name one. Oh, teacup out there. I want to save them little chair
Yeah.
holders.
But one of them was named Paul. I do know. But
Paul?
Yeah.
Paul never saw Jesus, never met him once.
no, not the one who wrote the scripture. That's just
Wait,
what
what?
it's not the one. I'm not talking about the Paul who wrote the scriptures. No,
Oh, what Paul are you talking about?
Paul. So
Wait, what?
you said what are the names of one of the Jews who saw
Yeah,
Jesus?
you're talking about Paul said there's 500 witnesses who saw the resurrection, right?
That's what I've read.
Okay, well, who was one of those 500 witnesses that left an account that we can read today?
Well, that's.
Well, save me the
Why do
trouble.
you
There's
believe?
not any.
Wait.
It just says 500 people saw something, but he might as well said 5,000 or 5 million because there's not a single one of them that's actually named that left an account.
Why do you believe? For example, why do you believe Socrates spoke the? You know Socrates, right?
Yeah.
Why do you believe in any of the things he said? Why do you know he
I
said
don't
those
believe in
things?
Socrates.
Oh, do you believe in any, what can I say, any philosophers?
Yeah.
But why? Because those.
No, I don't. Well, my point in saying that was I don't necessarily. Socrates was probably a real person, and there's other accounts written at the time who says a bunch of stuff he says. So we have accounts of different people's who's saying and writing things about him. Now that doesn't prove he's real, that's for sure. But it does make a good suggestion that there was other people at that time who were writing around that he was real. So I have no problem with saying Jesus was probably real, but when you say he walked on water or did these crazy miracles and people came back to life, then you've got a whole different league of stuff you have to start proving at that point.
Yes, and that's where I just look towards the 500 eyewitnesses. That's
Yeah, but there's not any accounts of that. It's just one guy saying 500 people saw something. Like, I can say 5 million people saw it, but ultimately 5 million times 0 is still 0.
But what's the difference between saying it's not real and saying it's real then, if you just want to deny and not
Well,
like
I mean, my point is, if somebody says there's 500 eyewitnesses, I would expect that there would be 500 names and 500 accounts, but there's none of that. That's why I'm saying it doesn't matter. You can say whatever number you want, but there's not that actual eyewitness account.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
Well,
none at all in the Bible. Zero. The Gospels are all later anonymous authors, and they got their names like Mark, Luke, John, and Matthew because church fathers, way after the fact, like Ignatius, attributed those names to them, but nobody actually knows who wrote the Gospels.
well, I mean, obviously the Gospels are talking about Jesus and his teachings, right? But
Sure, but
um,
they're riddled with problems too.
yes, because for example, what problems I can talk? What's one problem you think, for example?
Well, there's a bunch. I'll give you a quick rundown. Like if you
Yep.
start Matthew chapter 1, he gives a genealogy of Jesus. It says there's 14 generations, but the first problem is there's 13, so he miscounted to 14. The second problem is he goes through a cursed line of a guy named Jeconiah that's cursed not to sit on the throne of David. So Matthew's using a cursed lineage for Jesus. Then he goes on to say he fulfilled a prophecy about a virgin birth, which if you just go read the prophecy, it doesn't even say virgin. It's a prophecy about a war, not a Messiah. Then it comes on to chapter 2, and we got prophecies about being called out of Egypt. But if you read that one, it's literally half a sentence that's picked out of a verse that's just retelling the Exodus. It's not even a prophecy. Like literally every single one of these are like this, all the way to the end of chapter 2, where he says a prophecy is being fulfilled that he will be called a Nazarene. Reading that verbatim. There's no prophecy like that in the Old Testament at all. It's completely made up.
Hmm. Can you quickly let me know what Exodus means? Because I'm not English native speaker.
Oh, the Exodus is when the Hebrews left Egypt and stuff, the Passover, all that good stuff.
All right, sorry about that. I don't know all the English
Well,
words.
I'll give you that example. So Matthew is saying, he's literally saying there is a prophecy being fulfilled, and the prophecy that he quotes says, "Out of Egypt I have called my son," right? So he's saying Jesus is fulfilling this prophecy by coming out of Egypt. Now that if you go to the prophecy that he's actually quoting there, "Out of Egypt I called my son," that's actually half of a sentence. And the actual sentence says, "When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. The more I called from them, the more they went from me, and they kept sacrificing to the Baals and offering incense to idols." So it's not even a prophecy that Matthew is pointing out here. It's just a retelling of the Exodus in Hosea 11.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even a prophecy. So like, why is Matthew lying about a prophecy being fulfilled here?
I don't know. That's like, yes.
Yeah, I'm just like, you don't have to answer me. I'm just saying these are my problems with it. And like, not
It's
only
just
is that the only one, like literally every prophecy that Matthew is claiming Jesus is fulfilling is the same way. If you actually go read it, some of them aren't even prophecies. They're completely out of context. Some of them don't even exist. They're not even there. There's not even one to quote, like the Nazarene thing. Like, where did he even get that from? Besides, like, mistranslating a word or something is the only thing I can think of, like a wordplay, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no prophecy about that at all. And literally every single one of them are like this for Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. Yes.
It's a big New Testament of problems.
I mean, I think always there's going to be some problems with the translation of Hebrew.
Yeah, but there's not supposed to be. I was raised to think this was the inerrant, infallible word of God. There's no mistakes, no errors, nothing is the way I was raised. And that's what I used to believe, actually.
Well, I mean, that just because you were raised like that, just because you have a parent who says they're Christian and, for example, says this is how Christianity is, doesn't mean that's how Christianity is. I see a lot of
Sure, it's
people...
obviously not. I was wrong. I'm agreeing we were wrong. I know I was. But that's why I changed my mind. Like, there's no way that this guy Jesus was the Messiah that the New Testament's making him out to be. like even if you go back to the Old Testament, you read a story like the Exodus that historically there's not only is there no evidence for, but there's actually evidence against. So you go to a story like that in the Bible and you see all kinds of mythology. And then you get to an actual historical event like the Babylonian captivity, and there's almost none of that in there. It's just given a straight up account, you know what I mean? There's not these mythologized stories around it. And that's the real part, or something that really happened. But there's just too many problems for me to think this is a divinely inspired book about the actual Messiah from the Old Testament, when the New Testament can't get basically a single prophecy right about him.
Yes, I'm just so curious. Yes, but how do you then think that the whole everything was created by the Big Bang? I'm curious to know.
I don't think it was created by the. Well, I think
How
what
do
we
you
see in
think
the
then?
universe
Sorry.
today, like what's called the local presentation, came after the Big Bang. But no, nothing in the Big Bang says that was the beginning of the universe.
How do you think it was created then?
I don't think it was created. I think it was just a natural part of whatever was happening when the Big Bang came about.
Well, how do you think
Like
the
I
Big
would go,
Bang?
like
How
in
do you think?
physics, I would go with the what's called the Big Bang Big Crunch theory, and that's saying the Big Bang is expanded out and getting to a certain point, and then it's actually coming back and just doing that over and over again. It's like a giant pulse. That's to me, that's the most logical one I've heard. That's actually
So
based on like math and quantum fields and stuff like that.
from what I know, like the Big Bang is a huge explosion, right? That was caused by
Well, it's an expansion. Explosion's a
sorry,
misapplied term there. Yeah.
yes, but by very small things, or what? Is that true?
That's what I've heard. I've heard one of the physicists that I listen to the most says it was probably about the size of a basketball from what they could tell, which would have been infinitely small compared to what we're seeing right now, you know.
How would that make sense though?
Oh, I don't know. I'm
And
not
why
a
do you
physicist.
why do
I'm not even
you?
really worried about it. Like it would be cool to know, but it's not. It don't have any effect on like what I'm doing today or my life or anything for real.
I mean, it's kind of, what is the purpose then? If you don't want to have something,
What do you
if you
mean of
just
life?
if you just feel like you're just here and you don't really care how you're here, and you just gone when you die, you're just
Well, I
gone.
do care that I'm here though.
But then,
Some
like,
people don't.
why you're here? I mean, like,
I'm
why do you
here
not
because my
care?
parents had sex, man. Like, I don't have an intrinsic purpose if that's what you're looking for. I think we come around.
And then you
You
go
better make
back,
the
back,
most of
back,
life, the one life that we know we're getting, that we're alive right now in. Like, let's make the most of that. We know we're getting this life. So I'm just going
hmm
to do what I can to try to be as happy as possible and sad as least as possible. And that's the best I can do. You know what I mean?
And you look at so you think that also life, how then your forefathers, the first ever people, how do you think, like,
Oh, I think
if
evolution is a fact
obviously,
that
yeah, you
explains
believe in
that
evolution,
perfectly.
yes, but what
Yeah.
what came before for life then? Like, how did life?
Oh, no life.
That just doesn't make sense though. Life came from no
From
life.
what? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, our bodies are made out of non-living things. Like we need the non-living stuff to make a living thing.
But
So if
uh,
you're going to say life can only come from life, you mean biological life, right?
no, not like that. But it just doesn't
Well, where
make
did
sense
life come
how.
from if it didn't arise naturally from naturally occurring elements like amino acids and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, it obviously did when I believe that obviously God created humans with
Yeah, but God isn't biological life, though, is he?
nope.
Well, you're
But
still essentially saying life didn't come from life. You're saying
no,
life can
what
only
I
come
mean,
from like a
it's
spirit
that's
life or
sorry,
something.
that's my bad formulation of the sentence. I mean, like, I don't believe it can come from nothing. Like it,
Oh, yeah, me either. I don't think it
like
does.
it. There's no consciousness. Can't come from no
Yeah,
right?
well, consciousness comes from our brain. Like, there's life forms that don't have a brain.
Yeah, I don't believe that a brain can be made without any consciousness. for example.
Well, consciousness is a result of the brain. You can't have consciousness before a brain came around. So a brain had to come first to give us the consciousness. But you
Yes,
can even
it's
argue that it's more complicated than that. Like, because trees don't have a brain, but I do think they have some sort of consciousness because they have like thorns and stuff sometimes. So they're aware they need some sort of defense. And that's what consciousness is. It's a state of awareness or awakeness, I guess.
yes, and how can that state of awareness just exist without anything? Like,
Because it's a consequence of the chemicals in our minds and brains, or however it works with trees and stuff too.
so that all came
But I
from
know in humans it comes from brains. Like you can whack somebody upside the head and alter their consciousness or completely take it away in some cases. And they could still be
so,
alive though.
so all of that came from a molecule the size of a basketball or whatever. No, not molecule.
Well,
What
if
do
you
you
go
say?
back far enough, yeah.
That's just really hard to believe.
I understand. It is. The truth's always stranger than fiction though. But no, I get it. It is hard to believe. And the reason I believe it is because I've been shown sufficient evidence to say that life really did arise naturally and we live in a natural world. Like, that's why I was saying earlier, like, I think the smartest thing to do is recognize the truth that nobody has evidence for God. So we're just animals trapped on this planet. So why not just do what's best with that, with what we have right now? We need hospitals, not prayers, is what I'm saying. We need science and not Bibles. Even though the Bible's cool. I do love the Bible. I just don't think
Um,
it's true. Absolutely, Josh. I say all the time, I think one of the reasons people believe this, some of these stories are like, you can't make this shit up. That's just joking. Sorry,
yes,
man. Go
but
ahead.
yeah, I just sorry, I shouldn't be speaking English, man. I'm so bad, but
No, I mean, you're
uh,
doing fine. I can understand everything you're saying.
all right, thank
Really
you.
good.
It's we need yes, but
That's why I'm
you
trying to
s-
like give you room to like try to say what you're saying too, because I know some of the words you're probably trying to think of on the spot.
yes, thank you about that. Yes. What do you think about so you think more hospitals? You said, what do you mean by more hospitals and not more prayers?
Well, I'm just saying, like, if it's the truth that we're here on our own and there's no God, then prayer's not doing anything. But hospitals are. Hospitals help people all the time. That's why I'm saying we should prioritize what we know is real and true and work toward things like that for our own betterment and each other than hoping it comes around magically or something like that. You know what I mean? But sometimes you're in that position. Like, a hospital's not going to solve everybody's problems every time. So people are like, shit, what do we do? Like, we just pray. Like, that's what we do, though. But we're ultimately just hoping for help that's hoping against hope, basically.
Well, I think even if God doesn't exist, prayer is still very good because it's shown.
It could be, like, in the form of, like, meditation and stuff, sure.
Yeah, it's shown in studies, obviously, that prayer can help boost mental health and
Well, sure. But what it can't do is be shown to be actually, like, curing cancer or regrowing limbs or anything like that. But we can actually, like, work toward that ourselves.
well, that's if you don't believe the Bible, you know.
Well, true, but there's been all kinds of widespread studies done on prayer before, and seems to work at the rate of coincidence.
Because like Jesus cured illness and
Yeah, but
if
he thought it was demons, though. I would have been more impressed if he would have said, "These are germs. Do wash your hands," instead of saying, "Don't wash your hands," because it don't matter what goes in your mouth; it matters what comes out. Like, it does matter what goes into your mouth.
I just find it strange that you can look when I say, for example, I believe that Jesus resurrected because of the eyewitnesses, and why would you need, for example, a bunch of names for the witnesses to be true?
Because I mean, like, you could tell me anything you want, and if I say prove it, you say a whole bunch of people saw this, and I say, well, cool, where are they at? I want to talk to them then too. Maybe we can corroborate stories and stuff. And you're like, well, I don't actually know any of them. Just a bunch of people saw it. Like, don't you understand why that's not doing us any good?
Well, then how did you know the First World War happened? No one's alive from that time anymore, and there's
Well, because there's still battlefields with scars of the bombs on it. There's still weapons from them laying around. Like, there's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people that were there who wrote about it. People who
yeah,
saw the
but
people coming back from it, they wrote about it, what they were seeing. That's the first time, like, shell shock or PTSD was a thing. It's when we started blowing each other up,
how did you know that was
which it
from
was
a
probably around
war,
before
World
then. We
War,
just didn't
not
call it
just
anything.
normal wars?
Well, I
Because
mean, World
it
War is just what we call it, though. I mean, we
there,
know there was a giant conflict on a global scale at that time.
yeah, but their proof is obviously the weapons you're talking about, and
Well, I'm just naming
people writing
examples.
about
Like,
it.
there's the weapons they use. There's the people themselves, the people's accounts, the people who came back
Yeah,
to
but
the
they're
people
dead
that were
now.
crazy accounts. There's still battlefields. There's literally stuff you can go metal detecting and find the bullets there yourself. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah, but
confirmable stuff. So you don't have any of that for, like, Jesus himself or a God.
it's just I've told you there
It's
was
a faith thing. That's why it's a
eyewitnesses.
faith position.
There
There's
was
no eyewitnesses,
eyewitnesses
man. There's no eyewitness accounts at all.
of Jesus. Yes.
Well,
Why?
who
Why
was one
is
then?
why?
Well,
Why
name
is
one.
scripture? Why is scripture not? If you're telling me that scripture of or whatever you texted witnesses of the First World War, why are they true?
Because they're actual witnesses. The Bible is not actual eyewitnesses. It's
And how do
way
you know
later.
that? How
But
do you
I
how
would
do you know that for
still
a
believe
fact?
it. Even if the Bible was still no eyewitness accounts, I would still believe it if all these problems didn't persist, like I was explaining. It's the problems that get me. I would probably still be a Christian if I could read this like I read it now and it all made perfect sense. But it don't. There's problem after problem after problem after problem. Does that make
Um.
sense?
Yes, but yes, that's right now. I'm actually trying because my dad is a priest. I'm trying to learn Hebrew, so I'll read the Bible and that before I.
That'd be cool.
Yes, I'm very thankful for my family, and but I I'm excited to read it like that because um
Well,
I
do some research on, like, Google, like, I actually got to go in just a second anyway,
oh
but
yeah,
please come back. But Google, like, do some research on who these eyewitnesses are, or just Google if there's any eyewitness testimony in the Bible. I think you'll be surprised what comes up.
yes. All right,
But like I
thank
said, for me, the eyewitness ain't even for real a thing. It's just the quality of the content that the words itself are telling us.
yes. Well, I'll have a look at that
Like,
scripture.
yeah, just like I said, like, why is Matthew saying all this stuff when we go read it? Doesn't seem to be what he's saying at all, at any time almost. Like, that's my real issue.
Mm-hmm. I'll try and come up with an answer for that next time I'm
Yeah,
here.
do it, dog. Do it. Get on there and research and research.
Yes. Thank you about that, and yes.
Thank you, Harold. I
You have a
appreciate you coming up and
wonderful
being
day.
cool. We love cool people.
Yes, have a wonderful day, my man.
Back at you, dog. Hey, where are you from, real quick? If you
I'm
don't
from
mind me asking.
Denmark.
Denmark. That's cool as
Yes,
shit. Y'all have high ass taxes there, and we're right behind you.
yes, but we have a good welfare, so I'm happy about it.
Absolutely. Everybody I've ever talked from Denmark said, "Yeah, we got crazy taxes, but it's okay. Like, we don't mind because they make it work for us."
Yes,
You know what I mean?
because
So, like,
obviously,
I think that's cool, and I think here we ought to be looking at stuff like that more.
imagine like the problem I think with I'm assuming you're from the US, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You see all these poor families who struggle a lot with mental health because, for example, they can't go to the doctor when they're just a little bit sick because they don't have the money
Yeah.
for it. and
I don't
that's
have the
just a
damn
huge
money. If
problem.
I get sick or break my leg, I am fucked.
Yes, if
In
I'm
the richest country in the world.
that's the funny thing is in Denmark, if you, for example, give birth, it's totally free. That's just so cool, in my opinion.
That is cool. That is
And in
cool.
the
I don't
US, you
even
have to
think people
pay.
mind paying taxes, but people have to feel like it's worth it, like they're getting something for that.
Yes,
Like most people think America started the revolution over taxes, which it was over taxes, but it wasn't the tax. It was that they wasn't getting any representation for that was the
yes.
problem.
I mean, yes, like, and I never ever see people having problems with, because it's just so natural paying this money amount of taxes, but we also make more money than normal countries. So the most people
That's
make,
awesome, man. I could do a little live with you and just talk about the economic shit over there. That'd be interesting.
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the minimum wage should be higher than most other countries since we pay that much in tax.
Right.
The only
You
problem
mean
we
there,
have
right?
in Denmark is that some of our tax goes to some of the immigrants who don't even like to be in the country, which is a bit of a problem for me. We have a huge problem right now with people who come in the country and just hate our culture and try and change it, which is bad for me, at least. Not saying I
Yeah, it
have a
looks
problem with
distasteful when
immigrants, I
somebody
just
comes to
have a
your house
problem.
and starts telling you your house ain't right. You know what I mean?
Yes, I have no problem with immigrants at all, but if you come and just try and ruin the culture, you shouldn't come to our country.
Well, you
That
have a legit point, sir.
Yes, that's the thing with the welfare. A lot of immigrants like our welfare, so they just come and abuse our welfare system.
Well, shit, I might have to come over there and abuse it myself, man. I can't afford it over here. So. Yeah, y'all gotta help
I
me out
believe
here.
it's a bit harder now than it used to be, but
Right,
yeah,
right. Well, all right, my brother. Well, I appreciate you coming up. I've
you
got to
you
jump off
too.
here and get out to work for the day and shit. I'm lucky I made it this far.
No,
I thought I might not even make it to
it's night
12.
for me, so
Oh shit. Well, please,
heading to
man,
bed
please
in
come
a
back and talk
couple.
to me again sometime. But
Yes.
I try to do these every day, but sometimes I don't get to do it every day, but I try every day. So.
Yes. See you,
All
bro.
right. Well, thanks so much, Harold. I'll drop you back here.
Bye.
And to everyone else that tuned in today, to the people that came up to talk, what a cool day. We didn't have to holler at a single person. We didn't have to mute nobody. Let's see. Let me grab some comments for a jump off here in case lots of people talking. That's awesome. I love that people jump in here and comment and talk to each other too while we're talking, because I think the comments play a big part in actually pushing it out to other people and stuff. But I'm out of time. I'm still showing 3 people in the queue. But if y'all want to come back tomorrow, please do, because I should be back on tomorrow. If I feel better, especially, I'm going to try to stay on for quite a while tomorrow, because I don't really have much work to do tomorrow, so that'd be awesome. But again, also, I put these replays on the YouTube. I'll say YouTube now. I'll say to you earlier, because I've heard it's one of the things now that they'll start pumping a live out for if you're naming like other platform stuff too much. So I say to you when I start the stream, but now it's almost over. I really don't care, so I'll say YouTube. But anyway, you can check out replays there. That way you can fast forward it. You ain't got to listen in the middle. It's a little better for some people, so I've been putting them on there. But thank you again, everyone, so much for the gifts, the likes, the comments, the engagement. I had the biggest audience today, I think, like as far as the most people watching for an amount of time that I've had. So I feel like I'm actually growing. I feel like I'm actually growing like as a channel now. So that's pretty fucking awesome, I think. Time, my man, my dog. Enjoy your day too. I've actually been sick, but I actually feel pretty good now. I was afraid when I started this live this morning that I was going to start sneezing and shit again and have to shut it down, but I actually made it through it all. I've had to like wipe my nose several times, but it hasn't like got fucking crazy or anything, so that's pretty awesome. But anyway, guys, we will catch y'all again hopefully tomorrow. I'm pretty much aiming for every day now, but I kind of just see how it goes. Some days I just have too much shit to do with work to do it, but so far it's been pretty good, so I'm trying to keep it up. Guys, I love you all. Thank you very much. We will catch y'all later on. Oh, wait. No. Josh, are you still here? I need to do something before we go. If Josh is still here, hold on a second. Otherwise, I'm about to hang up. Y'all don't have to hang around. I'm going to look at something real quick with Josh, though, if he's still on. Damn, I don't think he is. I guess I'll just holler at him later. Anyway, guys, love you all. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. We'll catch y'all later.